So
she is a young person. Do you know how disgusting that is? And that cornball who loves to make himself look like he's the white people's savior.
Who said that?
Emmanuel Akko.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Come talk to me, white people. I'm the black guy that's nice.
Man, I know these people, man. I'm gonna have to have.
Well, you're not saying it, I am.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Club Shay Shay. I am your host, Shannon Sharp. I'm also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay. The lady that's stopping by for conversation on a drink today is a multi-talented, prolific comedian, actress, writer, producer, director, TV host, syndicated radio host, author, podcaster, DJ, rapper, singer, poet, media personality, performer, cultural commentator, content creator, an industry veteran, social media star, NAACP Image Award nominee, hip-hop scholar, entrepreneur, CEO, a philanthropist, an activist, a Renaissance woman. She calls herself a common sense specialist, the people's favorite truth teller or truth translator, as she prefers to call herself. She says what folks are actually thinking. Welcome to the show, Miss Amanda Seales.
You ran it down.
How was that? I mean, so how was the intro? Did I leave out anything?
That was the best intro I've ever had in my life.
You like that?
That was fabulous.
Because you was a little worried. I mean, when you came in, you was like,
Maybe
what?
I wasn't worried.
You was like,
Oh, you don't know.
you like you're so formal. Why you
That's
being
not
so?
worried. That's me trying to welcome you. That's not me saying. That's not
How
me.
you welcome me in my own house?
No, because I know that I have a lot of energy when I come into a space, and people will be like, "Oh, you know, it's a lot of." So I have been trained over the years to try to make people feel comfortable.
Okay.
So that's what I'd be trying to do.
Well, I'm trying to make you feel comfortable. Are you comfortable?
Yes.
You know, normally when guests come on the show, we like to have a toast. So it's bad luck to toast a spirit in water.
Okay.
So
A toast.
all the best. Thanks for stopping by. But I had to jump on this right quick.
Go on ahead with it.
Real good folks, go out there and get your bottle of this Shea bottle of Portier. So how are you?
How am I? I am. That's a loaded question. I'm evolving. That's how I am. I'm evolving. I've had a lot of information and a lot of slander at the same time.
Okay.
And in the past month, it's just been a very difficult time, but there's been really beautiful things that have come out of it that I will speak to, in this conversation.
Well, since we started there, we'll start there and we can go to another direction a little later. What started this evolution? What caused Amanda to all of a sudden see things, or not see things differently, but maybe see things as they actually are?
Because so many people were seeing what I was experiencing, and they shared with me that they had had similar experiences.
Okay.
And so I recently was diagnosed as someone who has autism spectrum disorder,
Okay.
which is very difficult to identify in Black women because of racism.
So what exactly is autism spectrum? Because I hear people say you're on the spectrum.
It used to be called Asperger's.
Okay.
But that is no longer what it's called,
Okay.
because to my knowledge, Asperger was a Nazi.
Okay.
But what it simply means is that your brain functions in a different way. So you're neurodivergent, and you also have certain tendencies that are considered outside of what the neurotypical way of things is.
Okay.
And a lot of times that can have you present in a manner that people misrepresent,
Okay. Okay.
which is the story of my
okay.
life.
Okay.
And so when all of this started ballooning out of nowhere, and people were saying, you're unlikable and you're a bully. No, not you're a bully, but you're being bullied. And these were tropes that have been associated with me before, but I'm in a new level of visibility
Right.
at this juncture. And you get people saying things like, you are difficult, you are mean, you are nasty, and that you're none of these things.
Right.
But they're attributing it to things that are not actually action-based. Like, I don't cheat people. I don't lie to people. I don't stab people in the back. I don't operate in mendacity. I am not duplicitous. I don't do none of this shit. But I have a certain tone about how I speak. And that makes people feel like, oh, I'm mean, because something about the tone that I speak in doesn't make them feel a certain way. So
can I ask you this? Not to cut you off, but were they people that you had relationships with? Were this in the workplace that you became difficult? Or are this people that you just have general interactions with?
These aren't people I've met.
So it's
The people who are saying these things about me have never met me.
And that's impacting you?
Yes.
Why?
For a number of reasons. One, I am not a sociopath. Two, it is actually a part of being autistic that you are very, very, very sensitive to what people think about you, because you are always keenly aware that you are an alien. You are keenly aware that you are different. You are keenly aware that something is very odd about you, and you're always trying to make the room feel good. We literally just talked about it because it's my habit.
Right.
It's my habit to try. I'm gonna cry already. I've only been here for like 5 damn minutes. It is my habit because I've always been labeled as this. You think you know everything. It's not that I think I know everything, but I really did know the answer. And I'm thinking I'm helping the room out by having the answer.
Oh.
But they like,
I think you're a know-it-all.
You're a lot. You're a show off. You're extra. In my sophomore year of college, I was put in a suite with 7 other women. And the day I got there, my name had been ripped off the door and thrown on the ground. I didn't even know these women. And 2 weeks in of them not talking to me, I said, listen, I'd like to have a Friday night where I buy a bottle of tequila and we all just sit around and y'all can take shots and tell me why you don't like me. And everybody's reason was, I don't like you because you think you all laugh. I don't like you because you extra. I don't like you because you a show off. None of that shit is anything having, like, I'm not harming them.
Right.
Like, I'm literally just trying to
But they formed this opinion of you prior to meeting you.
Like, I'm just trying to exist. I'm literally just existing in the world. And it's a fucking problem. And so when you are I'm also an only child, you know, like
okay.
so I didn't have like built-in support systems outside of my mom. You know, I didn't have like that brother, sister support system. And so I've always felt like the outsider. I've always been an outlier. You know, it's always interesting when people call me the mean girl. I say I must have turned into a bad bitch because I was flat-chested and loud for a really long time. Like I was always the bullied one.
Right.
I've been bullied for all type of shit. But when you ask, like, why does that bother you? It's because no one wants to be invalidated. I don't think anyone is really okay with that. And I think that also as a Black woman, we are always kind of put in this position of appeasement. And how do you not disrupt the space? How do you not disrupt the space? And if you're going to not like me, I would at least like it to be for a legit reason.
Okay.
And I'm so happy to be in this space with you because, to be honest, like, I've spent so much time trying to convince people, Shannon, trying to convince people of like, no, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. And it's like, I'm off it.
Yeah.
I'm off it. There is the truth. There is my truth. And a lot of times, baby, it's the same. And one of the reasons why you can see that is because when I recount a story, I want you to notice this when I recount stories. I very rarely include my feelings. It's never, I felt that this person did this. I thought that this person did this. It's like reading Game of Thrones. He's going to give you this. He's just giving you the sequence of events. You don't see the feelings of Catelyn Stark at the fucking Red Wedding until you watch the show, because in the writing, it is just a series of events. That is part of my autism. I speak in directs. I speak in linear spaces. I speak in literals. That's part of the reason why people don't like me neither, because I'm literal and I take things literally. So if you say to me, I'm gonna be there at 5, I'm like, why you ain't here at 5? They're like, well, I'm at 5-ish. Well, you should have said 5-ish because I was waiting for you at 5.
So let me ask you this. How old were you when you got diagnosed, and did you always feel that you was different and you felt something was wrong?
Well, what's today?
Today is Thursday, the 18th.
So 42 and however many days until I was just recently diagnosed.
Okay.
And this came out of this situation because so many Black women who are autistic said to me, I see you. You need to. And I've always thought, you can look at other interviews. I have mentioned before, like, I think I'm on the spectrum because I'm an 80s baby. This was not really a part of the narrative.
Right.
And as we started seeing more about autism and you start seeing shows about different characters and I start learning more like from people like Holly Robinson Peete, I'm like, this feels really like me. But then, I think sometimes we're afraid to learn certain things.
Yeah.
So
60s and 70s babies just got whipped and put to bed.
And to be honest, it's true. And to be honest, I just want to say, like, so my mom, so in this revelation, my mother started looking up like symptoms of autistic children and was like, oh, you exhibited all of this, but I didn't know what to do with this. Mm-hmm. She's a single parent. She's trying to figure it out. But I really just thank my mom because what my mom couldn't show up for me emotionally, I realized that she was able to, at the very least, that's not even fair to say, she was able to still let me be who I am instead of beating it out of me.
Right.
Which happens to so many kids who are misunderstood, like, and she's West Indian, La Japal Grenada Massive. And so, like, I'm over here being this precocious, loquacious child that's always talking and they're telling her like, why you letting her just do all this talking and all of that? Why she's too fresh? She too fresh. Why you letting her just run she mouth so? And my mom is like, that's Amanda. Like, let her live.
Right.
And let's be real, most parents.
That wasn't happening.
No. Shut it up.
Mm-hmm.
If my father had lived with me, I would never have been the person I am now. Because he wouldn't have been able to handle it. And I believe that he is autistic too. He's because he's brilliant.
Right.
He's just, he was never seen the way he needed to be seen. And so it turned into narcissism.
But you can be brilliant without being autistic though, right?
Hell yeah. Okay. 1000%. Okay. Absolutely.
But just
because I'm both. But I'm gifted and autistic.
Yes, but Amanda, sometimes, just because you have a special gift, that doesn't mean that, you have a spectrum or you have just because you see things differently, it doesn't mean that you're on the spectrum or you...
This isn't related to simply how I see things. This is related to how my brain functions.
Yes. But just because your brain functions differently from, say, mine.
Yes.
So you feel just because your brain functions differently that's what caused it, or there's a clinical diagnosis that
there are clinical diagnoses.
For you?
Yes, there are clinical diagnoses for autism. Yes.
Yeah, I know
when you take the tests, when you take the test, you're like, hold up, I've been thinking my whole life that this was a problem. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that I have to doodle, I have to draw all the time. I have to be doing things all the time to be stimulated. It's literally called stimming.
Okay.
Like the fact that when I'm a baby, I have to rock, like in a child pose, like literally rock. And my mom would be like, why is she doing that? We find out later, this is stimming. This is her literally dealing with her anxiety in a self-soothing way. Okay. The fact that even little things like, if there was a bowl of peanuts right here, I would be lining them up in a row. I'd be lining them up in a row. Like these are small things that are indicative of like your brain functions in a very particular way.
Right. Okay.
And that functionality also displays itself in your behavior, right? So it's also atypical to the way that our society functions. Mm-hmm. So for instance, like this society is very keen on people performing. There's all this phoniness all the time, right?
Yes.
And when you are autistic, you literally are unable to even catch these certain social cues. There have been twice in my life where I was in a fight and I didn't know I was about to be in a fight because I just didn't understand the social cues.
Right.
I literally didn't understand what was happening.
Okay.
I'm thinking like they said come outside and I'm like, what's up? And then I get punched in the fucking face. For the record, I won the fight.
You let her get up. She got up first and you still won?
Yes, sir.
Damn, you got squabble skills like that?
I have rage.
Okay.
I have rage. I'm very strong, like freakishly.
You single?
Yes. You want to talk about it?
Nah. And we're gonna talk about it later. So let me ask you this. So there were a lot of parent-teacher conferences with you, huh?
Yes, but not for what what do you think they were about?
Your excessive talking, maybe the doodling.
Funnily enough, no. You know what the parent-teacher conferences were about?
What?
Amanda is sticking up for other kids in the class. Amanda is correcting me. Like I had a teacher, Miss Schwenk, who called a conference because she was talking about Aboriginal art. Mm-hmm. And she said that she stood in front of the class and said, you know, that the Aborigines are a Stone Age people. And I was like, ma'am, there are Aboriginals alive right now. Like they are a part of civilization. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, no, you know, what I mean is that they've never advanced. And we're in a classroom in Orlando, Florida. So like if we don't check this type of stuff, it's gonna just continue. So I was that student. Like I was the kid who was always raising my hand and just wasn't easily appeased by simply just someone being an authority.
Right.
And I love this because when she called my mom and said, you know, I'd like to set a conference up because I have some complaints about Amanda. My mom said, well, you know, that's interesting because Amanda has some complaints about you. And so they came to the meeting. It was my mom and Mr. Wright and Miss Cersei. It's all black people at Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando, Florida. And this lady sat there and actually you and Mr. Wright had the same build. And Mr. Wright was like, all right, so, you know, we're here to discuss Amanda disrupting the class with her talking. And she was like, no, Amanda doesn't disrupt the class with her talking. She actually helps the other students out. He's like, oh, okay. So is it about her grades? And she's like, actually, no. One of her art pieces is featured in our exhibit at the library. And he's like, so what are we here for? And she's like, well, you know, she corrects me in front of the class. And these three black people are like, here we go with this racist bullshit, you know, because that's really what it is. We're in Florida in the 80s and the 90s. And
but let me ask you this.
Okay.
Do you think she would have felt equally as offended if a white kid, because I'm assuming this teacher was white, right? Mm-hmm. If a white child would have corrected her, I think most teachers would feel some type of way if a child corrects them.
That's not for me to surmise. I'm just saying that my experience was this lady giving wrong information.
Yeah.
And I'm allowed to correct her. Now, this is the same lady who tried to accuse me of stealing. And when a white girl said, no, Amanda didn't steal it, I did. She was like, well, I think both of you need to go to the principal.
Right.
I'm in Orlando, Florida, which is a notoriously racist state, Florida, in the 90s. And I'm talking to you about a white woman who is speaking about black people, indigenous people in a country where those same indigenous people have had all of their land taken from them by former criminals that were sent there from England. And she is calling them Stone Age people. And I, as a black girl, the only black girl in her class, am correcting her.
But my thing is, you're right. She possibly misspoke or she didn't know. I
guess my question to you is, why do you even feel compelled at this juncture in this interview? Why would you even feel compelled to try to
because I'm not defending, but my thing is that what I'm trying to say, most adults, when kids correct them or speak, feel some type of way. This is not unique to a black, white, or white, black. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm sorry that you took it that way. But I remember when I was growing up, my grandparents and parents said, hey, kids, stay in your place. Adults are speaking. That's all. Maybe that didn't happen where you were from in Orlando, Florida. But where I grew up when I grew up, kids did not correct adults. So I apologize if you thought it came off as combative.
No problem.
Let's get into your acting. You've been at this game for a long time. You started in 1993 as a child actor. Was that something that you always wanted to do?
Not that I always wanted to do. I mean, I started dance very, very young. In 1989, I was on Disney.
Okay.
Well, I was sorry. In 1989, I went to an audition for Disney.
Okay.
Because they had something called the Sparkling Christmas Spectacular at Disney World in Orlando. And my mom was like, I think you should go and audition. So I went and auditioned. And I made it, which I was not expecting to do. It was like 1,500 kids dancing, and I made it. And I'm like, okay. And even though you're going to probably have an issue with this, they were racist. So when I was at Disney,
Yes.
and I was in the situation at Disney, I was there as the only black girl.
Okay.
And there was a whole crew. It's like 12 of us. And so I was called an N-word right there while I was there. And I was also bullied while I was there because I was told that you're only here because you're black. You can't really dance. You're just here because you're black. So don't get any ideas. So that's what I'm being told by the other children. Does that suffice as racist to you, or would you want to call it something else? Is that just kids being mean?
The kids. So let me ask you a question. As a child, you never said anything derogatory? You was just this model citizen as a child? I mean, children. Now, we're talking children, not functioning adults. Now, if you told me the adults, parents were telling you this, or the execs or people that are in charge of Disney are telling you this, I could agree with it. But at 89, you're probably 8, 9 years of age. Maybe younger.
So you have no problem with the children that were cursing out Ruby Bridges and the Little Rock Nine? You think do you think that was just them being kids?
Two things can be true. Kids can be kids and not function as an adult, and things can be wrong. And sometimes when kids say things, they're repeating what they heard their parents say. They don't know it's wrong.
So what about the children who are receiving it that know it's wrong? Does that not matter?
Yes.
So if I'm 10 and I'm receiving that treatment and I know it's wrong, does it make my experience of it less?
It doesn't make it any less valid. No.
So that's what we're here to talk about, my experience.
Yes.
So my experience is that I experienced that and it was difficult. So that's the valid part of this. I'm not here to protect those people because it's irrelevant to the conversation. So when I'm talking about me being on this dance show, I was there, and it was, there was other kids there who were actually really kind, and they had been in like the business. And so, for instance, shout out to Melissa Salamoni, her grandmother, they were not, rich, and a lot of other kids were really rich, and so they got pushed to the side because they wasn't rich. So her grandma and my mom they kind of found each other, and that's where I learned about headshots and resumes and agents, etc. And I was able to get an agent from that.
Okay.
So then I start auditioning, and I'm like booking stuff. And it's like, oh, all this precociousness is actually being put to good use. And then I booked, like, my first big job was Cop and a Half.
Okay.
I was Katie. And I remember being at my 5th grade trip to Wekiva Riverwalk, and my mom pulling up and was like, we got to go to this audition. I'm like, come on, we're about to go on a nature hike. And she's just like, no, we have to go. I really think we should go. So I'm just like, ugh. So I was never like the child actor, like the typical child actor. Like, and my mom was never like, she was never a momager.
Right.
She was more so just like, you know, it's like if you don't want to practice piano, but your parents know that practicing piano is good for you, like that's really what it was. It was like, you don't want to go, but I know this is good for you and I'm the parent, so we gonna go.
So you said you weren't like a normal so you did normal things like a normal child. You didn't get homeschooled because you was on this show and you did this. You were shooting 3 or 4 times,
No.
4 or 5 times a week.
No.
You had a normal life as a child.
Yeah, and my mom was very about that. So like on My Brother and Me, when I was on My Brother and Me on Nickelodeon,
right,
I was only supposed to be on 2 episodes, but they really liked my work. And so they said, okay, we're going to write her into the whole show. So my mom was like, well, what does that mean? And they were like, well, that means we're going to do 15 episodes. No, it was 12 episodes.
Okay.
But I'm only in 10 because my mom was like, well, she has a trip with her aunt.
So how did you feel about that?
Fine. Because I was never about, like, this was a hobby. It was a hobby for me at that age.
Okay.
I was a gymnast. That was what I was more interested in. I'm like, I got to make.
Well, Bella Caroli wasn't coming to your school to get you to sign you out of school, Amanda.
No, but my coach was picking me up from school to take me to the gym. I went to Orlando Metro. Shout out to Jeff and Christy. Yeah. I mean, I was a gymnast, for real, for real.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not sure. I don't understand.
No, but I'm saying like Nickelodeon, this is a paying job, I'm assuming.
Doesn't matter. I'm a child. Remember how children have, different things? Remember
Yes.
how we understand things? So it didn't matter to me. I cared about gymnastics.
Okay.
So literally, like when I was going into the audition for Nickelodeon, you had to do this long walk from the parking lot to the audition. And I just remember crying that whole walk because I was mad because the coach had said that day that I could work out with the level 8s. And my mom said, no, we got to go to this audition. And I was just like, I want to work out with the level 8s. But I booked the show.
So at the time the Nickelodeon was going on, I'd say Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, Emma Roberts. Did you meet any of these?
No.
Did you know anything about? Did you know any other child actors?
Well, the ones that were on the show with me, but I was very insular. Remember, I wasn't out here either. This was in Orlando.
Okay.
So, like, we shot on the same soundstage as All That for a little bit, but we never met any of them. Like, literally, it was just like in passing. Then they left, and Gullah Gullah Island took over. But you're very insulated.
Right.
I mean, you're not really like. I mean, also, like, it's not like I'm the star of the show,
Right.
So I'm not going to. I don't even think they had like Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards or things at that time, but. We only did one season.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay,
they
okay.
played the season for 7 years.
Right.
But it wasn't like, and again, like I didn't have a momager. I didn't have like a publicist.
Right.
And, there's like a lot of kids in those situations, their parents are seeing them as, you
The meal ticket.
Yes, you the meal ticket. Whereas
Your mom never viewed you as that.
my mom is dropping me off at work so she can go to work.
Okay.
So I'd be on set, by myself, but I was just super duper 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 fortunate that, we were taken care of, we were protected. When you see this documentary Quiet on the Set, you just feel so you feel so sad is such a not accurate word, but you just feel so bad that these children were not protected and they should have been protected by the adults that were around them. Mm-hmm. And I was protected. And the creators of the show, Calvin Brown Jr. and Alunga Adele, like they were really not playing around with the blackness. Like everybody was black on this damn
Right.
show. And, that was essentially why the show actually did not go forward because they wanted them to coon it up. And, there was this kind of trend, remember with JJ and they wanted them to go that route and they was like, nah, we're not doing that. Like, this is about a black family. Like, let them just be a black family.
Right.
And so for me, it was very, it was a dope experience, but I'm very proud though that at one point they had called parent conferences with the director.
What did you do?
And so, no, with everybody, they were like, the kids is acting up, so we're going to have parent conferences. And so everybody's looking at their moms like, what's going to happen? And I just, I was like, I don't know what this is about. And I'm very proud that I was sitting outside and my mom was in and out. And I was like, why was it so short? She said, because when I went in there, the man said, Amanda's great. So this whole Amanda's difficult to work with narrative is fascinating to me. It's fascinating, truly.
So as you said, you only did this for a year. You were big into gymnastics. You really like gymnastics and like child acting was kind of like a hobby. But do you look back on it or if you ever have, did you like ever want your own show when you were a child or did you look back on it and say, man, maybe I could have.
Never. I never wanted my own show. I had a really fulfilling life.
Okay.
Like I'm in gymnastics, I'm doing the child acting. I'm also, I'm thriving in academics. My mom's got me in like extracurricular programs. I get to travel with my aunt and, just do other, she married a white man, so we started doing white people activities. So now I'm doing scuba diving and skiing and shit. I'm in Colorado, I'm just getting a whole other experience. And, for all intents and purposes, and I just want to also just bring this to light for you because this is going to be a theme throughout this interview.
Okay.
I am a scholar of race.
Okay.
I'm not just someone who experiences it.
Right.
I'm a scholar, I'm an academic of race. So I see the world through a particular lens because I am skilled at doing so and because
Right.
I'm an expert at doing so. Like my master's isn't just in African American studies. It's the fact that I was taught by some of the greatest thought leaders of our time. Mm-hmm. So when you hear me say these things, I would just like to ask that because you have someone who is an expert sitting in front
Mm-hmm.
of you, to just consider versus be combative, because there may be an opportunity here to see something differently because you have someone with you who is not just experiencing race, but is also examining. And there's a different intellectualism about that. You know what I mean? There's different intellectualism about that. And I say that also because that's why I went and got my master's.
Okay.
I went and got my master's because I know that we live in a world that loves to try and find ways to undermine Black people's minds. They love to find ways to undermine Black people's intellect. Look at this DEI bullshit. This DEI bullshit is trying to state that in order to include Black people, we have to lower the standard, which is unconscionable. Because if Black people with no schooling were able to build the White House, if Black people with no schooling were able to create all of these beautiful spirituals that we still sing to this day, if Black people with no schooling were able to till these fields and know the ways of agriculture enough to create the actual the actual breadbasket of this nation, then you telling me that their descendants are not smart enough to get into Harvard without you lowering a standard? That's
Right.
because DEI and affirmative action is not about lowering the standards, it's about expanding the opportunity. So I went and got my master's so that when I am in spaces and I do bring up race and I talk about these things, it's not just based on experience, it's based on actual study.
Okay. I'll also ask that because if I don't see things exactly as you see them,
I don't expect you to.
don't take it as being combative. You see things one way, I might see it a different way. That doesn't mean I'm being combative.
I would say it's combative when there's a undermining of how someone sees something.
But why are you trying to undermine how I see it?
Because it's my experience.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, I
don't know my experience.
But I'm saying, see, you take it as if I don't agree with you, I'm being combative.
No, I don't. I take it as if I have an experience and you're telling me that my experience isn't what it is.
No,
You're telling me that my thinking somebody is racist who I was in a classroom with for a year that you have never met, you are emitting doubt upon that because of your own experiences.
No, I was talking about the teacher and you.
Right.
And I said
In your
I
experience.
believe based on my experience, and a lot of people is that kids correct an adult,
Right.
no matter what society it is frowned upon. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
You took it as that I'm trying to minimize your experience and say, well, I'm defending her when I wasn't.
Okay. I think there's something worth saying that could come off that way, and it should be something to consider.
Well, see, again, you're going to consider it your way because you see things, like you said, you see things through your prism. Okay.
I think it's fascinating to watch you accuse me of doing the thing that you're doing.
No,
it's fascinating.
I think
it's fascinating.
This is your interview, so I won't interject what I think. But anyway, your mom is white.
My mother is not white.
Is your
Why
mom?
do people keep saying my mother is white?
She's West Indian, so.
She is a black woman from Grenada, which is a black island.
She married a white man.
No, she did not.
You say you started doing white things?
My aunt married a white man. That's what I said. I said my aunt married a white man. On trips with my aunt. My mother is a black woman.
I misunderstood.
Well, listen, I get attacked for this. And people try to undermine the validity of my voice and my access to blackness on a regular basis by trying to make up this thing that my mother is a white woman.
Okay.
My mother is a black woman from Grenada. Grenada is so black that Maurice Bishop said in a speech that the FBI was worried about Grenada more than they were about Cuba, because if Grenada really did become communist, they could influence black Americans because we are black and speak English.
Okay.
That's how black Grenada is.
Well, that's on me.
And my father is black from Roxbury, Boston.
That's on me because I when I heard married, I didn't hear the part that you said it was your aunt that married. So okay, we good there now. We good. So what made you after you receded from the spotlight after you did My Brother and Me?
Oh, I didn't recede. I just was a kid. I mean, I just was.
I don't
even think I was in the spotlight when I did My Brother and Me. I mean, you have to understand, it was really like, first of all, it was 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
The Universal was 5 minutes from my house.
Right.
So I literally would just drive over. It was across the street from my high school.
So you really could have walked.
Yeah, like it wasn't as. I mean, the other kids on there that were from LA, I mean, they had to travel from LA. Like, so there's a much bigger experience attached to it for them. Whereas I'm just like going down the block
Right.
to do a TV show for a few months.
But that was a pretty big deal, Amanda. I mean, did kids treat you differently knowing that you were like, okay, that's a pretty big deal. Look at Amanda.
Yes, but I think I didn't make it a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's kind of how I've always operated. Like, it's like, I don't think, like, even when people tell me I'm a celebrity, I'm just like, I don't consider myself a celebrity. Like, I don't move that way. Like, people see me by myself and be like, you by yourself? And it's like, that's just kind of like, I just don't do the hullabaloo.
Right.
But, no, so I did the show. I went back to eighth grade.
Right.
And, you know, there wasn't like, it's not like Orlando was like a big industry.
Right.
So after that, I went to eighth grade, and then I really got into gymnastics, and I just really, that was my passion. I mean, to this day, I'm obsessed with gymnastics. I mean, people know that. I love me some gymnastics. We just saw our first gymnast from an HBCU win the nationals, which I just think is incredible. And shout out to Fisk. And so I just went, it wasn't that I receded from the spotlight. It was more so that I just went on with
You
my
graduated.
life. Yeah, I just went on with my life, you know, and then I went to Performing Arts High School.
Okay.
Dr. Phillips is one of the greatest high schools of all time, so we were clear. I mean, our alumni are like Wayne Brady and Joey Fatone and Luis Fonsi and Eddie Wong. I mean, we've got, you know, my homeboy Michael Scott, who's the genie in Aladdin on Broadway. Like, we just have a really beautiful legacy. And so that's where I went to high school. And so I was really shaped, I would say, by my gymnastics coach, my teacher, and like the head of the director of the theater program in high school, Karen Ruggiero, and my mother. Like, these three people really shaped me. And these were people that yelled a lot. Like, you are being yelled at. You are expected to be perfect. I had to exhibit a high level of professionalism from like a very young age, which is also why when people say a man is difficult to work with, I just laugh. Cause like I've been paying taxes since I was 8. I've been in this business for so long. And then even when I was in spaces that weren't professional spaces, you were expected to carry yourself. I mean, you've played high level sports. Mm-hmm. So you're expected to be obedient. You know, you're expected to show up ready to work.
Yeah.
You know, you're expected to be self-motivated. You know, it's not enough for your coach to cheer you on.
No.
You better be able to do it whether they're there or not.
The best ones are self-motivated.
Yes. So that is gymnastics, and that was theater. And theater at my school was like football at FSU. I mean, it's top notch. Mm-hmm. And at UF. And so like, that's what I come from. I come from people expecting you to be at your best when they're not looking. That's where I come from. Mm-hmm. And that's how I have always operated. But, you know, you go through life and you realize that's not how everybody operates.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest mistake that we make, because we want to see in others as we see ourselves. I show up on time. Why can't you show up on time? I did this assignment. Why can't you do this assignment? I did this. Why can't you do that?
It takes time to get grace. It takes time to learn grace. It takes time to understand the beauty in difference versus the frustration. Mm-hmm. We also don't live in a tolerant society.
No.
We're very much taught individualism and this idea that what I say goes, which you keep accusing me of, which is not true. But there's really something so great that you learn in maturity, which is how to identify people who have like differences from you and people who are harmful to you. Mm-hmm. Right? And like, that's the dance, I think, for a lot of us. But I really just thank those people because they gave me discipline, and they gave me my own discipline. Like, I didn't have to be disciplined by them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they taught me regimen. They taught me discipline. And when you are somebody who is an independent thinker, when you're somebody who's an outlier, who goes against the grain, you better have motherfucking discipline, because you're going to be by yourself a lot.
But you said, you say this society teaches you individualism. But I thought you were supposed to be an individual, stand out while being able to blend in. Am I wrong?
So, you know, colonial society teaches individualism over community. It's basically, when I say individualism in this context, I'm referring to like the quest for self. Mm-hmm. Like, as long as I'm winning, it don't matter about anybody else.
Right.
That idea.
Okay. Okay.
It's like people who will say like racism doesn't exist because I succeeded. And like there's so many factors that had to come into play for me to succeed, right? So I come from a middle class home. I was very fortunate to be very smart. I'm light skinned. I was well behaved. I had really, really, really good educators that cared about me, right? I could have been born 10 miles away and had educators that saw me as a nuisance, right? And then they put me in fucking disciplinary classes, et cetera, right? I was somebody who was very able to very quickly pick up on like, if I can't get in trouble. I can't have a low credit score. Like I have to be perfect. So like, in order for me to succeed, I had to be, and we all know this. I mean, we listen to Papa Pope on Scandal. You have to be 10 steps perfect than everybody else. So, irregardless of the racism, it's indicative of the fact that, you've had to be so flawless to get there.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way. So the individualism is more so this idea that, if one person makes it, then it's an indicator that the system or the institution doesn't exist.
But if I tell people this, you can be good at any game if you understand the rules. If you know that you have to be 10 steps better, isn't it easier because you know this going in without having to find it out ex post facto, like after the fact? So you knew that Amanda has to be 10 times better than her counterpart. So you prepared yourself to be 10 times better, to be more prepared, to be more disciplined, to be more dedicated, to be more informed.
I don't know if I would say it's easier though. I mean, I think easier, I don't know that that's the word I would use. I mean, I think I guess there's something to be said for like when you have a guide.
Right.
There's, you're given a bit more to the game, but I don't know.
I think it's easier to take a test if it's an open book test than
1000%. But if you still don't know where to find it in the book,
right,
you still ass out.
Right.
Because you never read the book in the first place. So I think the other thing was having people around me that knew how to find it in the book of me. That knew, like, if it says that I got to be that much smarter, I still have to learn how to access my intellect.
Right.
If it says I need to be more regimented, more disciplined, I still have to know the tools on how to do that. It's like when you have to learn, like when you'd have to take like notes taking. Right. You're like, I got to take a class on how to take notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you don't know how to take the notes,
exactly,
then you wasting your time.
Right. The 82-game preseason is in the books, and it's finally time for the real season. Don't miss out on any NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in tournament through the finals, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code Shannon. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's the code Shannon, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. You go to college. Why did you go so far away?
I was always a New Yorker. I just feel like that was my tribe. Like, I feel like I was born in a different place than I felt comfortable. When I went to New York for the first time when I was 12, I was like,
I've been here my whole life.
Yes, my people. And also there was a cultural difference in New York.
Yeah.
So my directness that I had always been vilified for, that people would tell me from a young age, like, you're rude, you're mean, just because I'm direct. In New York, that was the culture. So,
for sure.
So I just felt
for sure.
Also a certain level of acceptance immediately because I'm hearing people talk how I talk and they're not being vilified for it. They're not being put in a corner for it.
You fit in, huh?
You fit in. But
you fit in.
No, I'm saying I fit in because I felt normal. And I had not felt normal. And as a child, not feeling normal feels terrible.
Right.
And even with hip hop, like, my fascination, I feel like, with hip hop was that I'm hearing people spit and talk in a way that I exist. Like, when you hear interviews with MC Lyte and Queen Latifah, they talking like this. You know what I'm saying? This is how New Yorkers talk. And I'm like, that's how I talk. I talk just like that. But I'm from a place in Orlando where they want me to talk like this. And if I don't talk like this, then I'm not feminine. If I don't talk like this, I'm not sweet. I'm not kind. And it's like the amount of effort it takes for me to talk like this. It also is just not who I am.
Right.
So, I really loved New York. And also, so at the time, the top 3 schools for theater were NYU, in order, Juilliard, SUNY Purchase, and NYU. Mm-hmm. And I was at Dr. Phillips, and we were a theater school, and it was this legacy that people, it was a big deal on where's everybody going to school? Where's everybody going to school? And so I got into Purchase. I got a call back to Juilliard, but I got into Purchase. I got into NYU. I got into the other schools that I auditioned for, DePaul and SMU. And going to Purchase was my dream. I mean, that was really where I really, really, really wanted to go. And I talk about this in my new book, Body Waving Through the Bullshit, which is coming out in 2025. But I talk about just how going to Purchase was this culmination of all the work that I'd been doing. Getting in here was it. And then I got there and I was like, ooh, I don't know about this. I don't know. Because ultimately, what we were doing in high school was actually low-key more advanced.
Wow.
Than what we were doing at Purchase. I mean, at Dr. Phillips, we doing 5 shows a year.
Right.
We're not just doing the Music Man and calling it a rap. So we were in a conservatory in high school. So when I got to Purchase, it was a wild time because one, also I went through my growth spurt the summer before I went to Purchase.
Okay.
So I had been this little loud little person, small person, I should say, for a long time. And then it was all of a sudden, I had, some height and some womanness about me, and now I'm going to this school and I'm like, these are men. These are full grown men. These are not boys. These are men. And again, social cues and awkwardness, and I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm in this city, but the first night that I was at Purchase, everybody would gather on the mall and ciphers would start the first night every year. And I just remember watching people just stand in ciphers and rap. And I was like, oh my God, I am in the right place. Now, what it turned out to be was that, I ended up getting kicked out of the conservatory.
Tell me why.
So part of the way that these schools retain their their status is by how many people they cut every year. And so because of that, there's certain people that would do things to try to avoid from getting cut. And so one of the guys in my class felt like he was going to get cut. So he decided to try to sacrifice me so that he wouldn't get cut. So he created a story and he told the teacher a lie. He told her that I was listening to my headphones in class, which I was not, but she was already a baddie lady anyway. And again, I'm the only black girl in my class. So you're just a very easy target. And I've been writing about this. So I've been talking to my classmates and we just thinking back on the type of shit that used to get said. And she just lost it. I mean, she lost it. She was like, I can't believe this. I can't believe you would be here listening to your headphones. You have the attention span of a 3-year-old. You are never going to make it. Mind you, I've already been on shows. But
can she see you in the class? You should just look. I mean, what would you have 100 students in your class? She could have just looked out and
no, I had 20.
Well, damn, it ain't that hard to see who has those headphones or who. I mean, they were big back then. They don't have the little pods that you and I have now.
So what would you deduce? Why would she just flip out?
That would lead me to speculation, conjecture, and innuendo. So you were there. I mean, had you had any run-ins with this teacher prior to this? Nope. So you were a model student in class?
Straight A's.
Straight A's.
Every class, straight A's.
And that one incident possibly led to you.
So then she goes on a mission to get me kicked out of the conservatory. And you can look at the transcript and it's just like, so all of her reviews up until this point, stellar, amazing. And then all of a sudden, there's no excuse. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I don't know. But she definitely went the distance and she got me kicked out. And I appealed. The two heads of the conservatory at the time were two brothers, Dean Irby and the late Israel Hicks. And I appealed, and I asked everyone in my class if they would be willing to write a letter in my defense. Even the motherfucker who lied wrote a letter in my defense because now he felt bad. Mm-hmm. And the head of the appeals process said we can't take the word of 25 students over a tenured professor. So what we're going to do is we will reduce your sentence from an expulsion to a suspension. So you can take a year off and then come back.
What?
So because this is a conservatory within a liberal arts school, you have like what's called your core classes that you got to take, you know?
Right.
So basically I was allowed to go take my core classes and then come back to the conservatory the next year. Mm-hmm. But during that year where I was taking my core classes, I realized I didn't want to go back to their dusty ass conservatory. They could keep that. And so then I was like, I'm going to drop out of school. I'm gonna quit school. I don't want to be here. I'm gonna drop out of school. Cause like everyone was just majoring in shit that I just had no interest in. People majoring in like, you know, psychology or sociology. And I worked at the Gap and all of my bosses had all these degrees. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, you telling me about how to fold jeans, but you got a sociology degree. Clearly that shit ain't working for you.
Right.
So I'm like, and also this is going to cost me a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I just can't see myself spending all this damn money to get a degree just to say I got a degree.
Right.
Now my mom is losing it. You know, everybody's just like, oh my God, what's going to happen to Amanda?
So you called your mom and told her that you had what transpired? Or did you hold her?
Yeah. No. I can't hold water. Yeah, I can't hold water. I can hold other people's secrets, not my own. Yeah, I told her everything.
How did she take it?
I mean, she was livid because she knows it's not factual. Like, if one thing about Amanda, she gonna give you a red lip, a wing liner, and straight A's.
Right.
Okay. One thing I'm good at is school, baby.
Right.
I do school. So for me to get kicked out of school, fuck out of here. Also, I'm a brilliant actress. So there's also like no version of this that's related to my skills. Right. Like I didn't get here by accident. This is the #2 conservatory in the nation. I am one of only 20 students and I won like national scholarships. I won the arts scholarship, the NFAA art scholarship. I won the Donna Reed scholarship. They're picking 2 students out of 1,500 auditionees. Like, so I'm proof positive here.
Right.
So there's nothing legitimate. And, you know, for all it's worth, y'all, like, I'm saying y'all to the people, but like, I am very self-aware about like, okay, I could have done that better, you know, but in this situation, it's like, no, I really showed up. So, but nonetheless, my mom was panicking because, you know, that meant like I'm coming into the real world. Like, so what is this going to be? Like, I'm going to quit school and be a waitress and
right.
try and make it in New York City. Like her just trying to imagine that was just like, oh my God. And then I had a professor who was like, you know, you're too smart to quit school. We're going to figure this out. And I told her like, I'm not going to stay here on some bullshit. And she found out that I could create my own major. And so in order to create your major, you had to connect 2 schools of study. So there's like the School of Natural Sciences, the School of Social Sciences, the School of Theater, Arts, and Film. And so I had already had 32 credits from my freshman year in acting. Mm-hmm. But all I cared about was learning about Black history because I had never been taught it.
Okay.
Like, you know, I mean, you learn about the basics.
Yeah.
But within my core classes, I got to take Harlem Renaissance. I got to take, you know, African-American women writers. I got to take, you know, African-American History 101. And you just like, you feel like you have been...
You're doing a deep dive.
Yeah. but you feel like you've been betrayed.
Yes, absolutely.
So at that point, I was like, this is all I care about. This is all I'm interested in. And so I was able to create my own major because they didn't have Black Studies at my school. So I made up the major.
Right.
Black Studies with a concentration in the visual and performing arts. So I combined the School of Social Sciences with the School of Theater, Arts, and Film. That meant I had to go back to Dean Irby and have him sign off in order for me to get this major. And he was my advisor. So he's the one who watched me go from straight A's to then some random shit. And I'm looking at Dean like, what
you gonna do about this?
He's like, I don't really know what to tell you. I'm like, God damn it, brother. But I came back to him with that piece of paper, and I remember him looking at it and pausing, and I said, I need you to sign this because you tried to ruin my life.
You told a man that?
I need you to sign this. Yeah, when people tell you that you have to take a year off of school for no reason because they want to keep a quota for their little college, yes, you tried to ruin my life. I need you to sign this.
So what did he say?
He signed that. And then I ended up graduating on time, and I was the commencement speaker. And I got to say what I needed to say, and you can watch the speech on YouTube.
You got a master's degree in African American studies with a concentration on hip hop from Columbia.
Yeah.
What made you need an advanced degree?
Well, that's what I mentioned earlier. It was that I felt like I want to be a voice of liberation, and I want to use my art to do it. And I know that in this nation, they need you to have certain, for whatever reason, they need you to have certain credentials to legitimize you. And I also knew that they would need it from a predominantly white institution. So at Ivy League, even better. Even better. The other reason, though, was, again, like I knew that I'm an artist, but I also knew that I had a purpose here. I've always known that. I've always known that I have a purpose. Even if I don't know what the purpose is, I've always known that I have a purpose. Mm-hmm. And the hardest times in my life have been when I wasn't sure of what that purpose is. And at that point in time, and I still have the essay, like I said, I need to come to Columbia. I need to get this advanced degree because I want to speak for my people. I want to speak with my people. I want to speak like in the effort of my people, and I'm going to need as much information as possible to do so to the best of my abilities.
You have a concentration in hip hop.
Yeah.
Was it being in New York and seeing all this and the battles and the going on? You like, yeah, okay. So what made you do the concentration in hip hop?
So in order for Black culture to continue to thrive and grow, it has to also be protected. Mm-hmm. One of the ways that culture gets protected is it becomes academized. And, we saw that happen with jazz. We saw jazz go from this like music of sex to an actual part of academia, right? Hip hop as well was happening at that time. Like you see like Ninth Wonder teaching classes and Chuck D and KRS-One and Bun B. And so you started to see the academizing of hip hop as not just an art form, but as a culture that has more to it than just music, right? You got breaking, you got graffiti, you got DJing, you got style. It becomes something that is now a part of Black history versus just like a thing that's being done. And so at the time I was also working at Sirius Satellite Radio, and I would be in my studio, and over there is Dana Dane. Behind me is Grandmaster Flash. To the right of me is MC Light. Over there is Red Alert. I'm surrounded by the history.
Right.
So I'm like, well, this is an opportunity for me to put this on record and have archival study that is growing, with these people. So what I would do is all of my papers, 1/3 of them would include some interview with somebody within hip hop. So no matter what class I was in, whether it was within the African American Studies, whether it was in the African American Studies department or not, I would find a way to tie whatever the thesis was of that paper for the final paper. I would tie that thesis to hip hop in some way, and I would involve interview with anybody that made sense. So like my graduate thesis is about how the hip hop album is a continuation of the African American narrative. And so in that paper, I do that first part where I just explain my thesis. The second part was a comparative analysis between Richard Wright's Native Son and Biggie's Ready to Die, and showing with the album and the lyrics of Ready to Die how this is a novel on wax. And then the third section was interview about the importance of storytelling to hip hop. And in that interview, it was like everybody kept saying Nas. And then finally I was able to interview Nas. And so the third part of it is interview with, a lot of people and finally Nas about the necessity for storytelling in hip hop. And that proved my thesis.
You know what? Since you're a hip hop scholar,
Okay.
you see all the beefs going on. Are they good for hip hop?
Are they good for hip hop? I mean, it's a different kind of beefs than the one I grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think anything is good for hip hop that elevates skill. I think anything is good for hip hop that brings attention to hip hop as an art form versus as a gossip thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like so much of what we hear about hip hop ain't even about the music.
Right.
It's like this nigga and his baby mama,
Yeah,
and this
I smell- yeah.
and this nigga got arrested for this bullshit. So when it's something that's really more focused on the music, I think that is good for hip hop. I think it's also interesting how it went, because I think what's also good for hip hop is just the maturation of hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
And it is very mature for J. Cole to say, I did this, but then it didn't feel right, so I'm stopping.
It is, yeah. But here's the thing. I grew up, the first beef that I could, beef or diss was Kumo D and LL.
Okay.
And then, obviously you came on, you had Ice Cube with NWA, No Vaseline. You had Biggie and Tupac. Biggie and Tupac hit him up. And then you have Jay-Z and Nas. That's still the hardest one, right? Hit him up is the hardest one, right?
That's why.
Come on. We're gonna have to edit this out. We're gonna have to edit this. That's the hardest one. No Vaseline ain't
There's a motherfucker bitch in the clip.
Remy,
You playing West Side,
Sheetha.
niggas not coming quick with
Oh,
game. You claim to be a nigga, but fuck your
Hey,
wife.
whoa.
For life. What?
Whoa. But, so it's normally a one-on-one. What we see now with we see Ross coming at Drake. We see Kendrick Lamar. We see this. We see Future and Metro. It seemed like they always like, Drake is Thanos, and everybody coming at him. Did I miss something?
That's a different, I hadn't seen it like that, but that's not too far off. But why not? Things changes. We need different shit. So, okay. When Hove came, remember, Hove didn't just come at Nas.
Mm-hmm.
He came at Mobb Deep as well. Rest in peace to P.
Yeah.
He put he was on that screen.
Yeah.
That Summer Jam screen.
Pac came in Mobb Deep also.
I know. Being it.
So what's up with the women beef? You okay with the women beefing?
Beef is a part of hip hop.
Okay.
I just want it to stay on the wax. That's really the goal, is that for it to stay on wax. But it challenges you. It forces you to get your lyrics up. And that's what, I just want to see people rap.
Right.
I want to see people rap well. That's really it. To me, and I know people gonna fight me for this, but y'all already want to fight me anyway. I feel like Nas won the Jay-Z beef because Jay-Z's skill, in my opinion, diminished on that last rap when he's talking about I left a condom on your
baby seat.
Yeah, I was like, now see that's not even.
But see, I gotta hit you low.
To.
No, I gotta hit you low. You don't talk to all these. Nah, you ain't finna get me. I'm gonna go low.
This.
I'm going low.
But he started it.
I keep telling you, you're gonna get the best of me. When they go high, I go low.
I'm not saying that you can't go low, but I just felt like his rhyme quality. Normally,
yeah.
Hove would have done that in a very metaphorical, clever way.
But that's the old. Now Hove is above that. Now he wouldn't even dignify any response. Somebody
I'm
taking.
talking about then.
Yeah, but I got to get you.
You think Hove won that beef? That's what I'm talking about.
No.
But that's what I'm talking about.
But it's just like when Pac said, he said, "I hit your wife."
I thought
wife was off limits.
Shannon, I'm not talking about what they said. I'm talking about how they said it.
Yeah.
Like Pac delivered that shit in the way Pac delivers shit.
Yeah.
He didn't change up. The Hove I know, the Hove who says things like, can't stop by from drinking my ties with Tata down in the Vata, ha ha, pa pa, word life.
Yeah.
That seemed like a diminishment of his skill set. That's all I'm saying. A toast.
You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all your sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time is the only ticket app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show you the total up front so you know exactly you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in 2 seconds with 2 taps. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code SHAY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an app, redeem the code SHAY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. You're a poet. And you were in a group called Floetry, right? Is that and you replaced one of the founding members, Natalie?
Yeah, Natalie. Mm-hmm.
And read a lot that you weren't well received. Do you know?
By who?
I mean, if they're turning their back, they're booing. I mean, I guess the people that you're trying to read the poetry to.
Incorrect.
Okay. Correct me.
I will write about this extensively. I was asked to join Floetry after Natalie. I was told that Natalie left. Okay. Apparently that was not the case.
Okay.
But that's what I was told.
Okay.
And then we prepared to go on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not tell the fans that Natalie would not be joining Marsha on the tour.
Okay.
So when I come on stage, I do not resemble Natalie in any shape, way, or form. Right?
Right.
So immediately, our first show in Boston, people are like, well, who the fuck is this bitch? But I can sing, and I know the songs. So the first show, great time. Good job. But now the word is out. Natalie ain't on the tour.
Right.
It's Amanda, whoever this broad is. It's Amanda Seales. Well, actually, no, I had a name by then because I had done MTV.
Right.
So we now went from Boston. The next show that we were doing was somewhere else. I can't remember, but maybe Philly.
Okay.
And so I guess to just correct the scenario, it's not that people were mad at me because of how I was delivering the work. It was that they felt duped by the ticket sales because they had bought tickets to see the Floetry they knew, and they were protesting that this was not the Floetry they knew. Nonetheless, every time I won them over because I am talented.
Okay.
So every time I won them over, and I remember, being at Club Love in DC, and they had their backs turned to the stage, and it was like I was on The Voice. I had to get them to spin them chairs around. Right. But I sang my song.
That really happened. So they really.
My nigga, yes. What are you talking about? Yes. Do you mind if I call you my nigga?
You can call me whatever you like. I mean, that's
yes,
I'm
talking about literally like, and then I'm over here, all you gotta do is say yes. And they like, can't deny what you feel, let me undress you, baby. Maybe this little skinny, light-skinned bitch got something with her. Yeah, that really happened. But I wasn't doing poetry, I was singing.
Okay, so, you winning them all like, okay, they like that. They like Amanda, okay.
Yeah, but Marsha never made it any easier.
Why?
Why?
Yes, why? Why did, Natalie
I think, this is now, see what I'm saying? I think,
okay.
I don't know.
Okay, this is your point of view? This is your POV?
I think that they wanted me to quit.
Why?
Because then she could proceed on the tour by herself, and she was in the process of going into her solo career. And the way that I was treated was so just shitty that I think they were really trying to force me to quit, and they almost did. They almost got me out of that.
And you said?
honestly, it wasn't even me who said it. It was our drummer at the time, Daryl. And me and Daryl didn't even rock with each other, but he spoke into me and he was like, because I was really like, these people, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. This shit. Because every show, we would come on the stage and she would not even say my name. And every night she would say to me, okay, so this is how we're going to start the show tonight. So I never got a rhythm. Can you imagine you on the football field and every night the quarterback coming with a play you ain't never ran before? You ain't never seen this shit? And he like, all right, we're going to do a 52 banana split with a cherry on top. You like, nigga, we ain't never done that before. I thought we was doing the banana parfait.
Right.
So that's what every single night. And it would get more and more egregious. I just never forget we was in North Carolina and she was like, all right, so how we're going to do this is I'm going to come on stage. I'm going to start singing Butterflies. And then you're going to come on stage, but you're going to like dap up the musicians. But I'm already going to be singing. You're going to dap up the musicians and you're going to come on stage after you dap up the musicians. You'll just like start singing and then we'll just do the show. And I was like, so at no point you're going to say like, this is Amanda Seales. And she was like, I just don't want to disrupt the audience. Now, if I'm being generous, maybe she was just trying to mitigate I don't know. Maybe she was just trying to mitigate the nastiness from the audience. But like, if that was the case, she wasn't communicating that to me. So
right.
I felt very, 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 very isolated in the situation. And like nobody was communicating this to me.
So at no point in time, after Natalie left the group, okay, you do the first show in Boston and then you go to Philly or you go to Baltimore, wherever. Did she say, Natalie is no longer in the group.
No.
We have a lovely other lady named Amanda.
No.
And she's unbelievable.
No. And we didn't do press. And I remember Wendy Williams. So we get to Atlanta.
Okay.
Now, what people didn't know was that even before any of this had started, I was music director. So.
Oh, God, come on.
Months before.
You ain't supposed to do that.
I didn't even know he was the music director. I was already this nigga before.
But then once you find out, you like, I can't do this.
Well, no, my point is that I had an insider.
Okay. So you had some good intel. Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so he gonna tell you everything.
All you gotta do is say yes. Can't deny what you feel. Let me undress you, baby.
So he's telling you.
So we're in Atlanta, and I had a solo song that I would sing. That was one of my songs. So we're in Atlanta, and after rehearsal, he pulls my coat. He's like, hey, she's trying to cut your song. But she didn't tell me this. He's like, she literally cut your song from the set list.
Right.
Which would mean that we would be in the middle of the show and I would realize that my song is not happening.
And you gonna be out there like, damn, where's my song?
So I said, for sure. Okay. But now we got to get in the car together. Me and Marsha, we got to get in the car together to go back to the hotel.
Ooh.
On the way to the car, my boy Dwight Willisey texts me and says, hey, you listen to Wendy Williams? Also, like, why am I just casually listening to William Williams? But he's like, turn on Wendy Williams. Natalie is on Wendy Williams. Natalie is on Wendy Williams talking about the real Floetry. I don't know who Viv Samanda is. I'm not sure how she got involved, but I am the real Floetry. I am the real Floetry. I'm working on my accent. I'm the real Floetry. And so if you're going to these shows, just know you're not supporting the real Floetry. We're sitting in the car. And I just found out you're trying to cut my song. And I said, did you try to cut my song from the show? I don't know what you're talking about. I said, I was told that you're trying to cut my song from the show. She's like,
who told you that?
She actually didn't ask. To my recollection, she didn't ask. But nonetheless, it was just like, I want my song in the show. And so she's like, all right, whatever. But now I'm seeing from Dwight that like Natalie is on Wendy Williams talking crazy. So I run up to the room. And so now I'm like, yo, apparently Natalie's on Wendy Williams. So now we turn this shit on in the car. We sitting in the car, listen to this. She ain't saying nothing. We get to the hotel. I go to the room. I'm still listening. Natalie is burning me up. She's like, Amanda Seales is not real. She's fake. This is all fake. So now Marsha calls me like, did you listen? I said, yeah. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. I said, oh, okay. And this is a trend of me not being protected.
Right.
Okay.
Did you actually think she was going to protect you, considering that she had never given you the proper recognition, the proper identification? She never given you the proper...
I shouldn't have, but I did.
Okay.
I shouldn't have, but I did. Because I always expect, and this is also a flaw, but I always hope for the best in people. Because Shannon...
You hope in people what you do yourself. We talked about this earlier. We got to stop that.
I know. But it feels so defeated to do it. But it's true. But it feels like you're giving into it just feels like you're giving into the worst parts of existence to do it. That's what it feels like. It feels very nihilistic to just really give in, but it is the only way that you can really protect yourself. Mm-hmm. And my co-host Supreme on my radio show, always, he'd be like, Amanda, most people are full of shit. If you would just accept this, you would have such less heartache. And I'm like, I know, but I just want them to not be. So now she didn't do nothing.
Yeah, well, she didn't do anything. You feeling some type of way too now. I can see it. I see it right now.
Well, what most people think is feeling some type of way for me is actually just me being hurt. It's really, it just reads because of the type of human I am and the way that my self is set up. It reads as anger, but it really is deep hurt. That's what you're reading. And betrayal. And I'm giving so much of myself to this. And to your point, ain't shit been right up to this point. So it is a straw on a camel, Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, man, I'm out. Now I call the music director, like, yo, this shit just got ridiculous. He's like, yo, I'm about to come to your room. Let's talk. I'm like, okay. This nigga never comes to the room. I come downstairs. He's talking to a white chick at the bar. I'm like, God.
The one that you used to... I thought he came up there just for one last soiree. That's what I was thinking.
Because that would have made sense.
Yeah, for sure.
The pain away, But no. So I then called my homegirl to take me to the airport. Okay? So I call my mom and I'm like, book me a ticket. I'm out of here. I'm out of here because I've reached my wit's end. And again, I have no allies here. Yeah. I had a manager who was none of the above. Okay? This nigga sent me on the road with no contract. Talking about, well, you should just be happy they asked you.
What?
So I want you to follow the themes in this interview. I want you to follow two themes: misunderstood and not protected. I want you to follow those themes. Okay? Because you've noticed it's themes. You follow the theme of racism, but I want you to follow those other themes because they're important. They're important to understanding someone like me. And when you have not been protected and you are misunderstood, what are you going to naturally develop? Defense mechanisms.
For sure.
Because you have to protect yourself.
Yes.
There's no other way.
No.
They will tear you up. Mm-hmm. They will eat you alive.
Right.
And if you're creating these things also within the context of autism, within the context of already speaking a certain way, thinking a certain way, you are setting yourself up for a very hard road. But you're not even the one setting yourself up. I take that back. You are set up for a hard road. In the midst of all of this, though, you are brilliant. You have talent. And you are in a field that's the only way that those things really work in. It's not like I can go be the theatrical SEALs, like at the hospital. You feel me? Like, this is where I have to be. So I was about to leave. And, the drummer who we used to clash because we both had these like really big personalities that we hadn't matured into yet, mm-hmm. He hit me and he said, you can't leave. You cannot leave because if you leave, they'll win. And they want you to leave. And you cannot let them win. And he said, because later in life, you will look back on this and you will say, I stayed and I was strong and it's going to matter. It's going to matter. And he was right. And so that night, I ended up saying I came back. And we had a show that night. And we had a conversation before the show. And, the 48 Laws of Power, it can be used in a very duplicitous fashion, but sometimes it is useful when you're dealing with folks that just can't see you because of their own blind spots. And I'm a very, very emotionally intelligent person. And so a lot of times I end up having to do the emotional labor for other people to get us through.
Right.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Can I ask you this? In your life, how many people do you feel that have protected you and understood you?
Like, you want a number?
Yeah. Because you said on one hand,
Now, I mean, at this point, I've amassed an incredible amount, and it's been a beautiful evolution.
okay. But up
in
until
my
that,
youth-
yeah,
In my youth, I mean, my mom,
that was your rock.
and you know, it's just there's different processes, right? Like, I will say, like, my gymnastics coach.
You speak very high. You know what? You speak very highly of your gymnastics coach, and there are a couple of teachers at John Phillips High School,
Dr. Phillips.
Dr. Phillips High School, that you speak in glowing terms about. And then when you speak of them, you radiate. You don't radiate when you mention anybody else's name. But when you mention those people's names, your mother, your gymnastics coach, the people at the instructors at Dr. Phillips High School, you radiate. What was it about them that caused them to not only understand Amanda, but was willing to protect Amanda? Your mom, I get. That's your mom. She's supposed to
Because
do.
they saw what some people consider as flaws, they saw as strengths. You know, I remember when I started going to therapy, because I was like, you know, people keep telling me that no one likes me. And I do not understand
Did you believe it?
that no one likes me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I had low self-esteem.
Okay.
So I'm just like, I don't understand. And I remember her asking me, well, what are the reasons why people say they don't like you? And I told her, I said, my tone, they feel that I'm like too detail oriented, like it's annoying. You know, they tell me like me being detail oriented, they take it as nitpicky.
Right.
That I am too demanding. Whereas like for me, it's like, well, no, it's more so just me holding you accountable. They say that I am mean, but in my version of it, it's like, well, no, I'm just being honest. And so we started working on me being better at understanding like the neurotypical, like the normal way that things are read so that I could better protect myself.
Right.
Like that may be the truth, but you don't got to tell it right now. You know it and good for you.
Right.
Hold that.
Right.
Hold that. You don't got to tell it right now. It may have been a yes or no question, but people need extra words. I lost the job because I was answering in yes or no questions.
How you lose a job if you answer yes or no? Because you added.
Because they were emailing me,
Yeah.
asking me yes or no questions.
Okay.
And my responses were yes.
Yes.
And
No.
And then finally I got an email that said, you know what, we decided to go with somebody else because by your responses, it seems like you're not interested.
Well, you say answer yes or no.
So now you understand me. It took us a little bit, but you're here. So
they
saying
wanted
to
you to
them-
say, yes, I would love to have the job because I think this is an amazing opportunity for me. And I just love this company. I think you.
Get out there and dance, nigga.
But Amanda.
And black people do it to each other.
Amanda, we had the conversation up earlier. And what did we say? If you understand the rules.
No, but I didn't understand the rules. I'm just talking then. I didn't understand the rules. I didn't understand the rules.
So
I had to learn. So I was saying that
The
as an
therapy
example.
helped you.
Yes. But even still, it's like understanding the rules and like, you know, then you are who you are. Like that ends up being in conflict with each other so often. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you understand the rules, but you're like, in order for me to like play this game, I gotta like do a whole renovation of self that's not gonna be an upgrade. It's just me really just trying to mask to become palatable to you.
But don't you think realistically, there are a lot more people that dress in Halloween costumes year round as opposed to just on that day?
I do not want to be those people. And those are not the people that change the world. And that's what I'm here to do. And I literally went and got my master's because Rich Bova on the campus of Purchase College stopped me and held my hand because he was a psychic. He would always do readings for people. And he just held my hand and was like, well, you got to go get your master's. And I was like, God, I thought I was done with this. And he was like, no, you got to go get your master's because you're going to change the world and you're going to need it to do it.
You believe in psychics?
I believe in a lot.
Oh, my goodness.
How can you not believe in psychics and believe in God?
No, you're no psychic.
What do you, wait, let's take
No,
a
we're not, no.
Listen to me. Let's take a moment. Let's take a moment.
Yes.
If you believe in God, then you believe in a spiritual power that is greater than all of us. You also believe that there are people who are able to access that in ways that others cannot. Do you not? That's what our pastors do. That's what people who are Catholics believe priests are doing. And for all intents and purposes, when we pray, we are attempting to contact that power. We are attempting to, just let me finish. We are attempting to tap in to that power, to tap into that energy and bring it to us as we are continuing to bring it to them. Now, when we vilify the idea of psychics or witches, etc., a lot of times what's mixed into that is shit that ain't got nothing to do with actual connection to spirit.
Okay.
There are people who are operating in dark spaces and dark places, but there are people who are tapped in that just have different names.
Yeah, okay.
And so the idea of a psychic, like I'm not calling him a psychic. A medium, or somebody who is literally just more connected. I am very connected to, like, I'm empathic. I can feel. I'm very connected to just nature, to the vibration of things because I want to be, but also because I'm an artist, right? Like I can make something from nothing. Like there's something that is really unique in that ability to do so. So when I'm talking about someone who is able to read you, it's not like it's not that they're dealing with dark magic. It's that they are able to see. They're prophets. So it's just language. But as long as it's done in love, it's all coming from the same place.
Pastors seem to have been accessing people's bank accounts a lot lately.
That is very true. And that is why we have to always be careful about who is at the pulpit.
So,
You heard me?
one of your first jobs in New York was a radio host. How'd you get you know what?
I feel like I didn't finish that previous story.
Go ahead, tell it.
Oh, Floetry.
Yes.
Let me finish it.
Okay, tell it. Because I thought you was done with
I just feel like it's important to note that with the 48 Laws of Power, I realized in that moment, I have to let her win the battle to win the war.
Okay.
And my ego has to be removed in order to do that. And that's something I had to learn in that moment. Like, ego is not serving you here. And I really don't have an ego in that way.
Right.
Like, I can really often see, like, there's a bigger picture here. And so I had to let her know that I was not a threat to her. And I realized that for some reason she was like treating me that way.
Right.
I don't know if that was her.
So you actually had a conversation with her?
Right before the show. And I had to tell her, like, I just want you to like me. I just want you to feel safe with me here. I just want you to see me as someone who is not trying to step on your toes. Because that's what it feels like. And if that's not what it is, so be it. But if that's what it is, I just want you to know that that's not what I'm trying to do. So I had to make myself small so that she could not feel like I was trying to take her place. And after that, we had no problems.
I don't know that, Amanda.
You don't know much, Amanda. Yet.
I'm the Amanda that made herself shrink down. I mean, that went down to, honey, I shrunk the kid.
Baby, I know what to do. That's the part that people don't understand is that it's not even that you necessarily are shrinking. It's that you understand. It's like if you're on a field and you know that in this play, I'm not the star.
Yes.
In this play, all I need to do is block this so that this ball can get to this point.
Yes.
That's the point. And I am that person. I know what role I'm playing on the field.
Yes. You can be good at any game
Yes.
if you understand the rules.
There you go.
From an hour ago. And
Don't talk to me like that.
dab it up.
No.
Can I call you my sister?
Time out.
Can I call you my sister? Dab it up.
No.
Come on.
No.
You agree with me.
Because what you're saying is not accurate to the situation.
Yes, it is.
No, because the game, we're talking about two different games.
No. In that moment, you realize you.
Yeah, but I'm not arguing that point. I'm not arguing that point. You were saying that it's easier if you understand the game. And all I was saying was that I don't know that it's easier, but it definitely is important. Because it wasn't necessarily easy, let me tell you.
Okay,
but it was necessary. And I didn't, and if I'm being honest, I don't know that I would call it the game as much as I would call, I mean, I use that as a metaphor, but it's like, you could use that example in an operating room. Like, if you're the nurse, you're not with the scalpel, but you are important and you know your role in this situation. And that is fine. It's the lieutenant and the captain, right? Like, you just have to understand that. And when you do, your ego doesn't matter. Because your ego is not based on being at the top. Your ego is based on being useful.
Yes.
And that really is what I feel like a lot of people in this society are not realizing. We have this main character energy that a lot of people are just really built into. And it's like everybody needs to feel like they're the star. They're at the top. Their name is on the etc.
Yeah.
And there's so many other ways to be of value. And a lot of people are not cut for being the leader. They not cut for being the star. And they in these positions and they don't know how to motherfucking act. And they're actually really being.
You stay on the tour. You work at you and Marsha. Y'all hash out you hash them out, or y'all make peace to get through the tour.
No, after that it was fine because I let her know that I wasn't a threat to her. So then it's not a problem.
How would you? It was her show, right? So how?
Child, I can't, all I can do is my best.
So you did end up leaving the show?
No, I did the whole tour.
You did the whole tour?
I did the whole tour, and then after we were going to be a group called Floetry Remix. And so her manager kept playing around with my manager around it, and then she had me make a MySpace page for us. And then she didn't accept the friend request.
Oh my. Yep.
And that was the end of it. And then I just did my own music. And I put out my album, Life Experience.
Have you talked to her since?
I actually saw her at Usher's show recently. And she went to hug me and I was like, no, I'm good.
Come on, you didn't do that. Come on now. Don't be petty, LaBelle.
How was that petty?
God, she really, after all them years?
Yeah. After all them years. What am I hugging her for? That's not my people's. First of all, I'm not a hugger in general, but that's not, see, I'm not petty. I'm not phony. I'm not going to hug people that are not my people. If you treat me like shit in real life, don't try to hug me at a party. Because I won't hug you back. It's a song. If you treat me like shit in real life, don't try to hug me at a party. Because I won't hug you back.
That's not a song you made. But here's the thing. I can't believe you. I can't believe you would do that. That was.
I am who I am. People know who I am. And that's a beautiful thing. The person I am is beautiful because you don't never have to guess. People like me are a blessing. You don't ever have to guess. And so much of this life is people not wanting to deal with the real and just hiding in the shadows. And instead of honoring, honor is a strong word, but instead of, regarding and respecting people who are straight ahead, we treat them like they are a nuisance. We treat them like they are a disruption when really they are a gift because it really removes the guesswork of subtext. It removes the guesswork of ulterior motives. I am what I am. What you see is what you get. Whatever you hear me saying is what I'm saying. And to me, that is such an easier route. And I've found people in my life over time that really see that is such a dope way to exist. And it's been a blessing. So when you asked me earlier about like people who have protected me and like people who understand me, like it's those people who see that as a gift, not as an attack.
Have you ever hugged anybody that you didn't like or shook their hands?
I mean, I'm sure I did when I was less sure of myself and when I felt like I needed to play the game. I've had self-esteem and inferiority complex issues for a long time, and I've had to learn how to love myself as who I am and be okay with that, and also understand the repercussions of that.
Okay, it's okay. We can move on now. We good with Marsha?
Oh yeah.
Because I want to talk about the radio. I want to talk about you because you, as the intro. you've done a lot of things.
Yes.
Your resume is extensive. No, seriously. No bull jive. No, real talk. And I don't know if you really know, or maybe people haven't told you. Maybe you just, and we're all wired like this. We kind of hear the negativity than the positive, because being the next professional athlete, the losses haunt me more than the wins.
Right.
I remember a loss way more than
Doesn't that suck? It's like so irritating that our brains are wired that way. It's like, well, this is not helpful.
Yeah. The parades don't bring me the joy that the hurt and the losses.
I feel you.
So your first job, and one of the first jobs you had, you were a radio host. How did you get into radio?
I was a spoken word poet.
Okay.
So I did like Def Poetry Jam when I was in college, and I would do slams and, all of that. And I ended up performing at a Jesse Jackson Rainbow Push benefit. And I just remember it being like pouring rain. And I still was like, no, I'm going to rainbow push to get there.
Right.
And there was a brother there, Ken Spellman, who gave me his card and was like, we should talk about you doing radio. But like, listen, brothers give you your card, give you their card.
You think it's something. You see,
and you be like, all right. So I went back to purchase, and the card was sitting on my desk. And I hadn't called him. It was like a week. And my homegirl was sitting at my desk because she was like using my computer, and she was looking at the card. She was like, oh, wow, this office is at Rockefeller Center. And I was like, whose office is at Rockefeller Center? And she was like, the card that you have on your desk who's this card from? And I was like, oh, that's the guy I met at the benefit. She was like, I think this is legit. And I was like, huh. And I looked at it, I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize this. I thought it was like Homeboy LLC. So I called him and he was like, I'd love for you to come to the radio and I want to interview you as a poet, etc. I didn't realize that when I went to the radio and he was interviewing me about poetry, he was actually interviewing me for the job. So I ended up getting a job as a radio host at Sirius, and I was hosting like these two stations that were kind of like just esoteric and all over the place and eclectic. And then I graduated. So that was in March of 2020. Oof. No, baby, that was in March of 2003.
Because I started at Sirius in 2004. I did radio for Sirius.
Okay. So I started there in 2003, and then 9 months later, so I've graduated now. I'm sitting in, actually, no, these two guys that were on the hip hop station, they were standing in their boss's office, but the office had two sections and they were in the front section. I had just peeked my head in to say hi. And they're like, oh, what's up? And they had like the Outkast album in front of them. Speaker Box Love Below was in front of them. And I was like, oh man, I love that album. They were like, yeah, we're supposed to interview them later today. We're really excited, but we really don't know a lot about Outkast. So I start going in because I'm an Outkast fan.
Right.
So I start going in. And while we're talking, their boss, who's on the other side of the cubicle, gets a call that they have to move the interview to the next day. So he's like, hey guys, they got to move the interview to tomorrow. And they're like, oh shit, we can't do it. We won't even be in town. And he's like, well, and he like knew of me because I was at Sirius. He was like, hey, you sound like you know a lot about Outkast. Do you want to do the interview? Yes. So that was my first interview. My very first interview was with Outkast.
Wow.
And yeah, like I love me some Outkast.
Right.
And so then I was at Sirius for a few years. And yeah, I don't want to tell another negative story, so
no,
then I wasn't. Then I wasn't at Sirius.
Right. What happened? You a magician because you will magically appear at a job and then you just disappear.
What other version of that is there?
I'm just saying.
That's actually the only job I got fired from. This is the only job I've got fired from.
How you get fired?
So my boss was this brother who I will not even honor by naming him.
Okay.
He had a little ass chain and a high booty. Okay. And he had a poster of Condoleezza Rice. And he would send us memos with intros from different generals. Like there would be like a memo with like a paragraph from General McCarthy and Norman Schwarzkopf. I'm like, this is hip hop, nigga. Why am I having to deal with this? And he came into my studio. Well, the first time we ever met, I went to dap him and he said, keep it corporate.
Whoa.
So that was our very first interaction. I went to, and he said, keep it corporate. I said, okay. Remember, I'm 21.
Right.
Okay. Then a week later, he came into my studio and he said, so, I just wanted you to know that I know that you're spoiled and I'm going to expose you.
Huh?
And I'm 21 and I'm in New York, right?
Yeah.
So my instinctual response to that is I have to prove him wrong. And my way to prove him wrong is I have to pull him in, I have to show him, no, like,
Right.
I'm Amanda. Like, I'm not spoiled. I've worked really hard for all of this shit. Like, get out of here. So I spent the next 2 years really doing my best to make shorty swing my way, so to speak. Not in a romantic way, but in a professional way. So I'm showing up early. I'm staying late. I'm doing all the interviews. Everybody knew me at Sirius because I am a true full-fledged hip-hop head. You know what I'm saying? So they knew that when they brought their artists there, like, it's going to be a real interview. It's not just going to be some canned that they get everywhere else. So I got really cool with the radio execs, et cetera. So, and then at one point in time, so once I went on tour with Flowetry, he flipped. He flipped because he wanted to be a star. And I was like, in his mind, I guess, getting stardom. So once I went on tour with Flowetry, I was like, oh, I could record on tour. And he just was not let it happen. Once I came back from the Flowetry tour, it was never cool again.
No, right.
Never cool again. And he started doing weird stuff like lying about people coming to the show, to the station. And so I remember at the time I was seeing Lupe. And Lupe hit me and was like, why am I coming to the radio station? I'm not going to interview with you. And, he don't know that. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, why is Lupe Fiasco coming to the radio station, but he's not interviewing with me? He's like, well, how did you even know he was coming? You don't need to know how I know that. Yeah. The question is, why are you keeping
Inviting
me out?
him, right.
Yeah, like, why are you keeping me out? And he said, you needed to give other people a chance. Mind you, I'm not stopping anybody else.
Right. But if they want to interview with you, they want to interview with you.
But also the way Sirius is set up, as you know, they're going to interview with a myriad of people.
Right.
So I am not in any way an
You're not the only one they're interviewing with, yeah.
He's just trying to keep them from interviewing with me.
Right.
I remember Hove came and he was just like sitting in the lobby and I had come into work and I was like, what are you doing? You just sitting here? He was like, yeah. I was like, you want to do an interview real quick? I got a studio. He's like, yeah, no problem. So we go do the interview. They tried to fire me. Because they said I interviewed Jay-Z without clearance. Now,
They should have been applauding you.
And it was pre-recorded. So, like, if you didn't want to use the interview, you didn't have to use the interview. But they tried to say that I was, like, stepping outside of, the protocol.
But it aired on their station. It wasn't like you aired it somewhere like it was like, I got this interview. I'm going to put it on my IG page. I'll put it on my Facebook page. It aired on there. So
there's a book called The Gifted Adult.
Yeah.
And in this book, within the first 2 pages, they give 2 examples of adults who are gifted, and it shows up in their overachievement. It shows up in their type A, assessment of things, personality, right? It shows up in their ability to show up. And this becomes a problem at their jobs. Because people start to feel like they're outworking them. Mm-hmm. People start to feel like they're outdoing them.
Right.
And then it becomes, you think you're better than me.
Yes.
So this is the dynamic I have experienced in many places. So whereas you said, oh, they should be applauding you. Mm-hmm. I texted Hove on my T-Mobile Sidekick, because that was the time. And that just lets you know how old we are. And I was like, hey, they're trying to fire me for interviewing you. And he said verbatim what you said. He said, well, not verbatim, but he said they should be promoting you. But notice, who are the overachievers in this conversation? See how all the overachievers had the same response?
Right.
No, I'm in the way. I'm in the way. I'm doing too much. And I'm a girl. I'm a woman. I'm doing too much. Shut the
Okay.
That's what they think. That's what a lot of the energy is. A lot of the energy is shut up, and even if you won't let me, at least make me think.
I got a chance.
Let me think. I remember Green Lantern telling me, you know what your reputation is? That you are hard to fuck over and even harder to fuck. And I was like, my mother, I'm sure, is very proud. But that was, so, at Sirius, so what ended up happening was I went to HR and shared with them. This is before I knew that HR, see the game that you be talking about, that I didn't know that the HR ain't for you. It's for them. So I went to HR like, oh, listen, I'm having trouble with my superior. He's not very kind. And I'm thinking that they're going to set me up to like a solution. Baby, they said, from now on, you will not speak to him. You will speak to this other person who will relay to him.
Wow.
So I'm like, that's not like a solution, but
right.
I guess, So now I do this for a year. Now I'm dating Pusha T. As you can see, that rappers I've dated are very great MCs because I have high quality.
You got.
That was 2.
Let me say, I'm glad you shared that information, but.
Well, I think it's valid, and shout out to Virginia, his beautiful wife and their beautiful son.
Right.
Because we grow up.
Yeah.
We grow up, and I think it's important that we acknowledge that people have like full lifespans.
Yeah, people have passed. People have dated other people that people might know.
And I just feel like if I'm who came before you, I'm a good track record. Yeah. Like, so I remember I got invited to the MTV Music Awards.
Right.
By Push's manager. They were like, we're going to be out here. Let us know if you want to come. Now if you have someone who's on radio and they have a hip hop show and they can go to the MTV Music Awards, wouldn't you say,
you send them,
head on out there, bring a DAT machine and a mic, see how many interviews you can get.
Right.
So I tell the person that I have to talk to the boss, I want to go. Can we find someone to cover my shift? He says yes. He finds someone to cover my shift. He says, your shift is covered. You can go. I head out there. While I'm out there, I get a call from my boss saying, you going to the MTV Music Awards is an example of severe insubordination. And so we will be terminating your contract. I said, but I followed the protocol.
Got someone to cover my shift.
I spoke to this other person. He said, well, you were supposed to speak to me. Well, not according to human resource. LOL, the person in the back who said, yeah. So I said, well, not according to human resources. He said, well, according to me. So I then went back to.
You didn't get no interviews? At least get the interviews and keep them for yourself?
I didn't even have a DAT machine.
Oh, okay.
But I went back to New York and they fired me. And then I went on MySpace and I said, I did like an announcement, like, you won't be able to hear my show anymore. It's really unfortunate that my boss, who is a black man, just didn't feel like it was it wasn't necessary for him to protect me in this situation. But nonetheless, it is what it is. And I hope that I can create other ways, to reach y'all. He saw that post, used it, and had me banned from Sirius for 7 years. He said that post was an indication of my, wanting to come back and, harm him. That little chain high booty. Get you every time. But you know what? That situation speaks to a number of situations where people holding me to a standard they don't hold them. So it was like, I'm going to treat you any old way, and you just need to take it. You just need to accept it. And I don't know when this happened, Shannon, but even within the zeitgeist now, it's like I am expected to just take whatever is given to me and shut the fuck up. Yeah. And I don't understand that. No matter what jobs I've had, if I speak on it, it becomes she's complaining. It's like, well, I'm expressing my experience. Right. And if you haven't noticed, remember I told you, I'm just giving you this happened, and this happened, and this happened.
Right.
I'm not speaking to what they thought. I'm not speaking to how they made me feel. I'm just telling you these are the series of events. And you can judge for yourself. Right. But ultimately, this idea that like I am somehow not allowed to have struggle, like I'm not allowed to have a bad experience without there being this doubt painted on me.
Quick math. The less your business spends on operations, multiple systems, and delivering your product or service, the more margin you have and the more money you keep. But with higher expenses on materials, employees, distribution, and borrowing, everything costs more. So to reduce the cost and headaches, smart businesses are graduating to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, HR into one platform and one source of truth. With NetSuite, you reduce IT costs because NetSuite lives in the cloud with no hardware required, access from anywhere. You cut the cost maintaining multiple systems because you've got one unified business management suite. You improve efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. Over 37,000 companies have already made the move, so do the math and see how you'll profit with NetSuite. By popular demand, NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for a few more weeks. Head to netsuite.com/Shay.
I remember my really good friend, my Ace Boone Coon, she used to hear me tell stories. And she would be like, and she revealed this later. She was like, I would say to myself, nah, she must be leaving something out. There's no way this could have happened this way.
Right.
She must be leaving something out. Until I got kicked out that Emmys party.
What'd you do to get kicked out the Emmys party? Damn, we can't take you nowhere. What'd you do?
I go to a lot of places because I'm lovable and people like me and I'm delightful. I am delightful.
What did you do?
I arrived.
Okay, you arrived. Okay, you're inside.
No. So here's how it went. So because Hollywood is just so inundated with whiteness, there was this conglomeration of folks that came together to say, you know what, we're going to have a Black Emmys party. Because, have you been to the Emmys parties?
I've never been to an Emmys party.
So like, they're just very blah. Like, it's just a bunch of people sitting around like, am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right? Oh my God, Kirsten. Like that's the vibe.
Yeah.
But when we party, we want to have a little bit more fun to it. Call D nice. So what up, Derek? So in 2018 was the first one where they had a Black Emmys party. Mm-hmm. So basically it's like everybody who done been to all them other parties.
Come in this one.
Yes. And I went to that party with Jill Scott. And one of the people that planned that party was Issa Rae's publicist, Vanessa Anderson. So she was one of the planners of the party. But there's a bunch of people involved in planning this party.
Correct.
So I show up with Jill and Jill's manager was like, hey, can we, and I remember hearing Vanessa go like, oh, come on, Amanda. Mind you, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong right here.
Right.
Like I'm just standing with Jill Scott.
Right.
But nonetheless, we came to the party. We had a great time. So, and I said to Issa, like, I don't know what's going on with your publicist, but like she got something wrong. She got a problem with me. And she was like, that's between y'all.
Okay.
And I said, well, it's not really between y'all because I don't have a problem with her.
Right.
But she seems to have a problem with me. And she was like, that's none of my business.
Okay.
Okay. So now next year is 2019. And it was interesting because in 2018, it was packed like a dick in front of that place. In 2019, there was like nobody there. But I was at the HBO party and every Black person I saw, I would tell them, make sure you go to the Black Emmys party because I am about creating community and I want us to be together.
Right.
So I pull up with my homegirl, Kathia, and Kendrick Sampson, who's on Insecure. You know the show where I don't have any friends?
Yeah.
So I pull up with Kendrick Sampson. So we get to the door, and I learned later that she just is white passing, but this is a Mexican girl, but like she looked like a white girl. Mm-hmm. Okay, so she at the door for the
Emmys.
For what kind of party?
Emmys Black Party.
There you go. So she tells us, you can go in, you can go in, you can't go in. Now I think she's talking to my friend because my friend is a realtor.
Right.
And she says, no, you can't go in. And I said, well, why can't I go in? She says, you're just on the list to not be able to go in. Now, I had also been invited to this party directly by Jesse Williams.
Right.
So Jesse Williams had texted me and said, please come to the Black Emmys party.
Right.
Okay. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna come to the Black Emmys party. Yeah. Of course. Like, that's what I am about. So I come to the party and I'm like, okay, why am I not being let in? Kendrick says, I'm going to go look. I'm going to go look around and see why you're not being let in. Well, baby, I'm not standing outside no party.
Right.
So I head out. But then I'm stopped by this brother, Joey Harris, who works with Janet Jackson. Joey's like one of these people who's just always, his disposition is just always like glowing. It's kind of like Jordan.
Right.
So he's like, where you going? I'm like, oh, they said they won't let me in the party. He's like, absolutely not. Come on back. We gonna get you in this party. Okay. So we come back. And so this is an example of someone trying to protect and look out, right? So he brings me back and he's like, why are you not letting her in the party? By the way, at this time, I'm hosting Bring the Funny on NBC.
Right.
There is a billboard the size of a hotel 2 blocks away with me and my co-stars on the show, Chrissy Teigen, Jeff Foxworthy, and Kenan Thompson. And can I just put a pin in this really quick to give them their props? I had a real hard time on Insecure, and I'll get to that, but being on this show was so affirming because everyone there was so just happy to be happy. And I hadn't experienced that on that set. Like from the showrunner to the writers to my stage manager, Roger, to my co-stars, like I just got to be myself.
Right.
And it really let me know it's not you, it's the environment. And I don't get to talk enough about like the positive shit because people are always so attracted to the negative.
Yeah.
But I remember day one, Chrissy Teigen, we had to do rehearsals for the first day and they had me in these stilettos, Shannon. Oh my God. Like I would have had to go in the whirlpool. Yes, the feet were crying. And I had an injury from these fucking stilettos. And the next day, Chrissy Teigen brought a foot massage from Sharper Image and left it in my dressing room for the duration of the shoot. Like that's the kind of people, you know, just generous for no reason. Right. And we just had a blast. We had such a good time. And I remember Jeff Foxworthy one time, they wanted us to do this ad where we had to pass around a drink. And I don't drink, so it's like, I don't mind drinks being around, but like me pretending like I drink ain't my jive.
Right.
So I was like, I just don't feel comfortable doing this. Now it becomes a thing. This is how I get labeled difficult. Because we didn't get any prep for this, but you need to go along with whatever they give you. Didn't you know that? Whatever they give you, you're supposed to do.
No.
Well, when you're a woman, it's even more, shh, quit stirring up trouble. So Jeff Foxworthy saw shit going left and he stepped in and he said, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with it either.
Wow.
He used his fame, his white manness, you know, he used his disposition to just take the heat off of me. He said, I got you. To this day, I really want to do a show with Jeff Foxworthy. We would just like fish and talk shit. Like that's a goal I want to do. So let me know if you want to produce it.
You ever been fishing?
I've been present while someone is fishing, but I have not been given a rod.
So you hadn't had a rod or a pole in your hand? So
but I have dated men from the South. I have been present and had crappie cooked for me, yes.
Oh, okay. So.
Yes.
So I think you'd be more of a shore fisherman, you know, on the land.
Can't be in the boat?
Lord,
I'm generally asking.
Yeah, but I'm saying we go
oh,
baby
it's
step. Yeah, we go baby step. Yeah.
It's harder in the boat than on the land.
Yeah, probably so.
Really?
Because you're not as now. It all depends.
I thought there were more fish in the center.
There are more fish out. Yeah, but when they go way out there, they're normally fishing for a particular type of fish. Like when you're on the shore, you fish for anything that bite: catfish, crappie, you know, perch, bass. But normally when you go out, you fish for, you know, maybe you're trying to catch tuna, you caught branzino, something like that. Tuna.
Snapper?
Yes.
Okay. I'm into it.
You know about fish, you just never actually had a rod in your hand and like brought it in.
So I am, I hyperfixate. So I know a lot about a lot of things because I become
immersed.
Yes. So like I'm a scuba diver, so I know a lot about fish. And then at one point it was like, I'm gonna learn everything I know about dogs. And now I'm gonna learn everything I need to know about Game of Thrones. I'm gonna learn everything I need to know about, you know, NCAA football. Like, I mean, like, but I do know a lot about fish.
So you say
because I'm in the middle of a story and sometimes I veer off, but I always come back.
Because I want to make sure we get to your Insecure role.
So I just wanted to shout that out because Bring the Funny was a beautiful experience and it was super, super duper dope. So when we're here and Joey Harris is trying to get me in this party, the white girl says again, the white passing girl says again, yeah, no, she can't come to the party. So Joey's like, let me go inside and figure out what's going on. Again, I'm not about to stand out here.
Right.
So I start to walk away again, and now Elijah Kelly comes out. He's like, hey, where you going? I said, they not trying to let me in this party that I was invited to.
Right.
By Jesse Williams.
Did you attempt to call Jesse?
Did I attempt to call Jesse? I texted him.
Okay.
But he's in a party.
Right.
You know, so I texted him. So then Elijah is like, well, I'm one of the planners of the party. So they can't stop they can't stop me from bringing you in.
Right.
So he starts to bring me in and homegirl grabs my arm. But I remember when I told you I've been in New Yorker since I was 12?
Uh-oh.
I had to shake that off.
Yeah. Loose me.
Yeah. Crazy. So we go in the party and I go and sit down. No, sorry. I go in the party, I go by the bar. My homegirl goes to the bathroom. I'm standing by the bar and a security guard approaches me.
Uh-oh.
A security guard your size approaches me and says, hey, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. And I said, well, why do I need to leave? And he said, because you're being asked to leave. I said, well, who's asking me to leave? He said, well, let me go find out.
Well, why did he ask? Well, I mean, you came and say something, they're asking you to leave, and you don't know who's asking me to leave. You got to go find out.
He was given an order.
Yeah.
So now he comes back and he says, Vanessa Anderson is asking you to leave. I said, well, you need to find Vanessa and have her come tell me herself.
Is that Issa Rae's publicist?
Yes. I said, well, you need to have Vanessa come and find me and tell me herself. So he then leaves again and comes back with 3 other men. And one of the men now is a brother, and he's walking towards me cursing. So he's literally walking towards me saying, you need to get the out of here. You need to leave. And I'm like, mind you, I'm dressed down, honey, okay? And he's like, you need to leave. Now, Kathia was in the bathroom. She's now just come up. And I'm looking around, and I can see people seeing the ruckus. Right? So I'm like, why do I have to leave? Because we said so. So there's like violent energy and language coming towards me, right? I ain't no sucker. Okay? But I'm also not stupid. I can't fight 4 men. Right. So, like, I mean.
Right.
So the first one, who was kind, he had come up right here, but then the other 3 were right here. So I have to realize I've lost this fight. So I pivot to leave, but I pivot really fast because I'm going to still say my mother piece. So when I pivot and I say, I pivot to go, F you, I guess they thought I was about to do something. So the white guy steps in between me and the brother and chest bumps me and throws me back.
Right.
So now this is an assault because I hadn't raised my hand to do anything to anybody. So luckily I'm nimble in a heel. So but now it's like, you know, now I've been assaulted. So your natural response. So I'm about to go Super Saiyan on these motherfuckers. It's Goku over here. I'm like, Yeah. And I hear in one ear, I hear the security guard saying, please, Amanda, don't do it. And it feels like, please, Miss Celia, don't do it. Don't be like me, Miss Celia. Don't be like Miss Sophia. And then in the other ear, I have my homegirl who's from the Bronx like, what the is going on? This is some bullshit. And all I'm hearing is beep. But I look around and I see nobody coming to my aid. All these agents and people that I see around. Now, none of them are Insecure. None of them are the actors from Insecure. But there's people whose faces I still remember. And they will not get a hug in a party either. I just refused somebody a hug the other day for this. And I realized, like, you got to go. So we walk outside and the security guard says to me, you know, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just doing my job. And I said, I feel you, but you have to ask yourself, is it worth doing a job that makes you go against your moral compass? And he was like, damn. So I hope he left that job because he could tell that he was mixed up in some bullshit. So we're in a back alley. like waiting for a car, and I'm crying. Because this feels like, I've been humiliated, and I didn't do nothing. And that was the night that me and my homegirl became super, like, that became my sister, because she was like, when you would tell me that shit would happen to you, I would think she must be keeping something out.
Right.
But I literally just watched you do nothing. You literally just came somewhere you were invited.
Right.
And even though you tried to leave, multiple people said, no, you belong here. Multiple people. Another person on this team said, you belong here, so I'm bringing you in here. And then when I tell the story on my Instagram and on my podcast, it ends up getting turned into this whole other thing of you don't belong here. Amanda Seales doesn't belong here. And that's the thing, that's a narrative that has come about. Like,
that's what's been perpetuated.
Yes, I don't belong in these places. And what ended up happening 2 days later is that I got a call from Issa. And she called me and said, hey, I heard what happened this weekend. I just want you to know I have nothing to do with it. Would you be willing to talk to Vanessa?
No, I tried to talk to Vanessa at the party. She 2 days too late.
So I've never talked about this publicly because it has always been incredibly important to me to protect Issa. Because I know that Issa is doing something within this business that so few people get to do. And it's not something I desire to do. Like, I'm not interested in getting a $100 million production deal. Like, that's not a life that I want for myself. But I know that her role is very important. And so I've always protected Issa. However, there's just been enough instances at this point where I should have been protected by Issa and I wasn't. And one of my biggest problems that we have discussed several times in this interview is that I think people are going to show up for me the way I show up for them. And now it's at a point where my protecting of Issa has become turned on to me and something that people are using against me. There's a whole narrative that is completely false that people keep spinning. They keep saying, that I'm this mean girl on this set, that I harmed these people on this set. I just want to point out something very basic. How can I be a mean girl on a set that ain't my set? How? It's your show. You are my boss. I don't even have the capacity to be the mean girl here.
Right.
Because you can fire me. So there's no way for me to be a mean girl in this situation. And I know some people that may buck up against like the confirmation bias that they've created, but it simply is the truth. When I got to that show, I had a show on Issa's website on YouTube. I had my show Get Your Life. And when it came out on her YouTube, unfortunately, the press picked it up as Issa Rae's new show.
Right.
But she didn't do anything except put it on her site. Like,
right.
I put all my money into it. I wrote it. I starred in it, etc. And so I said, hey, would you mind, tweeting to correct this? And she just wouldn't. She wouldn't promote any of the shows, and I just felt like that was unfortunate, but it didn't change my view of her character. Like, it just let me know, like, okay, this is how she do business. But in that time, her publicist was interacting with me and was from just day one, just so acerbic, like just vitrolic for no reason, to the point where Issa's business manager had to say to the publicist, like, can you please try and be kinder to Amanda? She's like a talent on our channel.
You have no reason why she would treat you, behave?
So Issa says, would you talk to Vanessa?
No.
I said, sure. You know why?
Why?
Who's my boss? Who's my boss in this situation?
Well, Issa's the boss.
And where do I have to go back to work?
Insecure.
So what's the game you talked about?
You had to play the game. But hold on. But there was a situation earlier, Amanda, where she said, that ain't my business. Y'all need to handle that. Now she wants you to talk to her.
You're good at math. You good at math, Sharp. Shannon Sharp.
I'm just saying, because you like.
You can't spell Sharpton without Sharp now.
Man, so okay, you have.
So I take the call.
You should have said, I want to meet face to face. I want to look a woman. I like to look a person in
My
the
feelings
eye.
were hurt. My feelings were hurt. I just got assaulted in a party for Black people in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in Hollywood longer than majority of the people in this fucking party.
Right.
My feelings are hurt.
Okay, you take the call. Hello?
Hi, Amanda. This is Vanessa. I just want you to know that, so none of this has anything to do with Issa. That's the first thing she says. None of this has anything to do with Issa. So I just want you to know that, but I do want you to understand that it was me who kicked you out the party. Okay. So I just want you to know that the reason I kicked you out the party is because I don't like you. Okay. Well, that's all I need to know. There's nothing else for us to talk about. And I hang up. She calls me back immediately. Why'd you hang up? I said, because there's nothing else for us to talk about. She says, don't you want to know why I don't like you?
No, not actually. Actually, I don't.
No, I don't, because it's none of my business. I've never done anything to you. And for you to put me in harm's way off of literally nothing means that I don't need to talk to you about why you don't like me. You need to talk to your therapist about why you don't like me. And I hung up the phone.
She called back.
No, she called around. She starts a smear campaign.
Oh. So this whole time, your boss, and I don't do the gossip thing. So have you ever had a conversation with Issa about this about her publicist?
You're saying since this situation?
At any point?
Well, I had that one time where I said to you.
Yeah, and she said, well, that y'all need to work that out. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
So now after this conversation with the publicist, and I get off the phone, I start getting word that she is going around to the different publications and different people, because it starts coming back to me. Mm-hmm. And she's going around saying that I was in danger of getting fired from Insecure, which honestly, I don't even know if that was true or not, but that had never been brought to my attention. She starts going around saying that I got in a fight at the party. She starts going around saying that I peed on the floor at the party.
What are you, a puppy?
I got to move it to the side.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
So let me ask you this.
So, well,
now,
I feel like I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
So Issa then calls me again and says, hey, I just want to know if this is going to be a problem on set. Because now this is going on for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And this going viral, earlier in the conversation, you were like, why do you care if people who don't know you, mm-hmm. like, are saying mean things about you? And it's like, I wish I had that. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm there. No. But it's really up when the pylon happens and it has nothing to do with reality. Like, I don't even mind a pylon if it's something I really did.
Right.
This situation, I'm like, how am I the villain in this situation? Well, you shouldn't have gone to her party because it was her party. Well, it's not just her party. There's several people at the party. It's not like I crashed her baby shower.
Right.
But also I'm looking at Issa because it's like, this is your responsibility. We are both your employees. Mm-hmm. And this is a part of leadership. This is the important part of leadership. And that's what makes leadership so annoying, is you got to manage people.
Yes, you do.
And personalities. And
yes. It's a very difficult task.
But it is par for the course.
Yes, but that's why you got the 100 million or whatever you got, is to manage your employees.
So I said, listen, I am not saying that it's going to be a problem on set, but I do think it is a problem that you don't feel that you need to step in. And she was like, well, then we just have a difference in opinion. Like, this is between y'all. This is between y'all. Well,
if it was between us, why'd you intervene and say that she wanted to call her, I needed to talk to her, if you felt it was just between us? Because you interjected yourself into that. If it's between two people, I shouldn't have interference from someone else to say we need to get together. The two people, either she reaches out to me or I reach out to her. I don't need you to intervene. But you felt the need to intervene in that, but now you don't feel the intervention to go any further. Oh, sorry.
So I'm also promoting my book.
Right.
So this hits me because now the press is canceling. So this is now affecting me professionally. And I didn't do shit.
Right.
And I don't like you, in my opinion, is not a sufficient reason to sick 4 security guards on me and remove me from a black space.
Right.
Which also begs the question, what the is a black space? Because we like to claim that they're safe spaces mm-hmm. and, that they're for us. But at this point, black spaces are it's just black faces.
Right.
And that even is, something to do with this pressure that I've been going through. But to stay on course. So now we have to go back to shooting.
Mm-mm. Uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. And I ain't even on set.
And nobody's saying nothing to me. Everybody knows, because at this time it's just the women shooting. Everybody knows what's going on. They don't say nothing to me. And that's just fucking mean. It's mean. They don't say nothing to me. And let me tell you, from the beginning, I've been trying with these ladies because I want to make community everywhere I go. I done invited them to my house. They didn't come. I brought them gifts. They said thanks. I tried to plan a retreat. They said we don't want to go. You know, I created our group chat for the show. I created game nights for the show.
Nobody participated.
I mean, eventually, but like,
Reluctantly.
but I'm trying to do this, you know, because I think that it's like when I walked in and I was like, I feel like it's my role to make you feel comfortable. Like, I feel like that's my way of getting around this thing, this stigma that people like to put on me that ain't got shit to do with how I really exist.
Okay.
And in this situation now, I'm publicly now being like excoriated. You got this earthworm Jim looking nigga, Sarunas, out here talking about, well, no one likes you, so that's why you weren't invited. What's hilarious about that is that we were only in 2 scenes together. So this is not somebody that really knows me. But you know what the other thing is, Shannon Sharpton?
What happened?
This is a brother who ended up having a child with someone on the show. And when he had the child, there was rumors that were going around that he was not claiming the child.
Mm-hmm.
And so these people had started talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that are talking about ain't my people. I'm not involved in it, but I hear it because we on set.
Right.
And then he come around and it's, hey, I don't like that.
Mm.
I don't like that. It's not honest. So even though that's not my boy, I pull him to the side. I say, Pete, people out here are talking about you behind your back about this situation.
The streets talking.
And I said, listen, this is a small business. So at the end of the day, if you are this child's father, I think you should exclaim it to the rooftops. If you are not, if you are and you don't want to claim this child, I would like for you to just consider rethinking that. Because as somebody with a father that did not show up for me, I really feel like she would really benefit from having a father in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, why ain't nobody coming to me? I said, I'm literally coming to you right now. And you ain't even my peoples.
Right.
But I don't think it's fair that you're being talked about behind your back by people that you think are your peoples.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, thank you for that. That's the same nigga that fixed his mouth to jump on the bandwagon of We Hate Amanda. Because it was a bandwagon. And he wanted to be seen. He thought maybe he was going to get an extra, right. He thought he was going to get an extra scene or something. So now we're on set and I finally say to Issa, so were you just not going to talk about this? Because it's now going on for 3 weeks and my mental health is suffering. Okay.
Mm-mm.
And it was a tough time. And, she's like, well, like, what do you want to talk about? And I said, listen, like this was a terrible experience.
Right.
This was terrible. And I like literally cried like face to face with her, like, this is terrible. And she's like, this is the first time she finally says like, well, I'm sorry that happened to you. It took 3 conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I'd like to talk to you further because I need you to speak to Vanessa. She is trying to ruin my career. She's like, I don't think so. I'm like, she's trying to ruin my, so I bring her into the room, I bring her into my trailer and I had to do another 48 Laws of Power. I sat her on a higher plane than myself so that she can feel as the queen. And in this setting, she is the queen.
Right.
And I say, I don't need nothing from you. So I don't have a reason to lie to you. But the people that work for you, like in close quarters, whose names are really attached to you, they will lie to you. And I had to convince her that like, this is really happening. Like, I'm not making this up. And even if turns out to be not happening, I still need you to speak to her to deduce what is or isn't.
Right.
So then she finally went and spoke to her. But the damage is done, right? Because now you see how every few years this becomes a thing. And it was started from a lie.
Right.
It was started from a lie. And it's not about convincing people, because I don't need to convince nobody of nothing. But I just don't ever feel comfortable with people forming opinions not based on truth. Shannon, I got in trouble for saying nigga on Insecure. I got in trouble for telling a brother he was a revolutionary nigga. In trouble. Like literally got pulled aside and was told, we need to talk about the incident that you had.
I guess when you're in corporate, you got to keep it corporate, man.
We say nigga on the show. We say nigga all day on this motherfucking show. And it was a black woman who pulled me to the side. And this brother is tatted from the neck down, eating edibles on set from Detroit. I mean, that's nigga. But I had said to him, because there was like a Malcolm X quote in my trailer, and he sets my trailer, my clothes in my trailer. Right. So I came to him, I was like, hey, did you leave that Malcolm X quote in my trailer? And he was like, nah. I was like, damn, you the only revolutionary nigga around here. He was like, I'm not a nigga. And I said, okay, I get it. Who said that? And I kept it moving.
Yeah.
This was the incident. So she's like, we need to talk about the incident. And I said, well,
what incident?
What incident? Well, when you just referred to him as a nigga. And so actually, I referred to him as a revolutionary nigga. It was a compliment.
Right.
Yeah, but when he said he's not a nigga, you didn't take it back. I said, like, you mean like take backsies? I mean, where we at? And she was like, well, I said, but we literally say nigga on this show. Like, literally. She's like, well, you're going to need to apologize to him. But this is the action of like, you need to bow down. People are always trying to get me to like apologize for some shit I didn't do wrong, right, because they feel like I'm too haughty. They feel I'm too sure of myself. They feel like I need to be cut down to size all the time. And the unfortunate part of that is that it's not a reflection of me, it's a reflection of them.
Right.
Because what is it about me that makes you feel small and you want me to get down to your level? Why do you feel small? What's going on with you? Who made you feel that way? That's not fair to you. Come on, rise up. It's in you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really what that is. So she brings him into my trailer.
You fake apologize.
Cause she there. And I was like, oh, you good? She's like, no, I need to stay in case something happens. What's gonna happen? I look at him, what you think is gonna happen? He's like, I don't know. I was like, oh my God. I said, you know what? I apologize for calling you nigga. I did not intend to offend you. Of course, in my head, what I said was, I should have called you a bitch, but I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But it felt like shit.
Right.
It felt like shit. So now we got to shoot the car scene where we're driving in Malibu.
Right.
So we in the car and I'm telling them about what happened and I start crying because I'm a sensitive soul and because this felt like another instance where I was being like bullied. And Issa laughed in my motherfucking face as I was crying and said, well, you do have a tone. At the end of season 1, I pulled Issa aside after this. I said, can we go to dinner? I want to take you to dinner. I took her to dinner. I said, I feel like you think I have something against you. And I don't know why you feel that way. Because we had been cool from even before this.
Right.
She was like, well, no, I said, I feel like you have something against me. And she said, well, I feel like you have something against me. And I was like, based on what? Because again, Shannon, I'm on your show.
Right.
I can't do nothing. Like,
I'm only to get scenes added if you add them.
I'm in pocket, baby. I can't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, why? She said, well, I guess I was looking at you like your character. Am I that good of an actress? She wrote the character, bro. What? And so I said, you know what? So let's clean the slate because that's not. I have nothing against you. I really don't. And if that came off, that was not my intention. But by the end of the show, there were just certain scenarios where I had to really always be the bigger person and be the balm to the situation. And then in season 5, she just came out of her face at me one time too many. And I just chose to stop being the balm because the show was wrapping. It was the end of the season. It was the end of the series. And I'm just not going to keep doing this.
So what did you do?
Nothing. I just stopped communicating.
Oh.
I mean, I had a little rail, and he says that Issa is like most of her set is with women, camera people, et cetera, and that she's very empowering to women.
Oh, I disagree. She wasn't empowering to me. She didn't feel like she didn't feel like I deserved to be protected. I'm only giving I'm only giving a portion of the
Your point of view,
situations.
yeah.
So, but that was my experience.
Okay.
And nonetheless, I have still always protected her because I felt like it was my responsibility to do so, but it is not.
Can I ask you this? When you received the backlash for the sorority, the AKA, do they understand that this is
I don't know. I never understood that.
Do you feel now that everybody just nitpicks? They just find like, okay, Amanda got on red today. Why she wearing red?
What you think?
I mean,
Don't it sound like that?
Is that how you feel?
Absolutely. They are always looking for something. Even these hack writers who were probably paid by APAC, they wrote articles based on tweets. They wrote articles based on not only my tweets, but on other people's tweets. Like this random person said Amanda needs to change her energy. Black Enterprise wrote an entire article that said Amanda Seales complains that she's not invited into Black spaces. Mind you, these are all spaces that I have worked in. And the follow-up line was, but the internet, so they anthropomorphized the entire internet. The internet says Amanda needs to change her energy. I do not need to change my energy. I don't. And all of those spaces, aside from Black Girls Rock, have contacted me. I don't need to change my energy. What needs to change is how we look at energy and how we understand energies that aren't necessarily our own.
Right.
So even as we sat here and we have talked, I have had to understand your energy. And you have asked me to do that. Mm-hmm. And even though it may not be my own, we live in this space together. We live on this earth together. So we have to gain certain abilities to do that. And that requires a lesser ego. That requires curiosity, which I consider to be indicative of love. It requires humanity. Like we live in a world that is continuously creating borders to keep people out because we feel like they don't deserve to be here because they're different or because they love a different kind of person or they believe in something different, etc. And I am not that kind of person. I've never been that kind of person. And it is so liberating for me to understand that the reasons that people have been telling me. So you're talking about the nitpicking. It's not just nitpicking. They assign something to what they're nitpicking. Mm-hmm. Amanda has a tone because she's mean. Amanda said this because she thinks she's better than other Black people. Amanda said what she said because she's nasty. None of these things are true. Mm-hmm. But it feels terrible for people to assign things to you that are not true. And you start to think to yourself, if this is what it's like for me to be myself, then maybe I shouldn't be here. And as somebody who has had a full-on nervous breakdown and been suicidal, it is not to be taken lightly when people attack character without legitimate reasons why, credibility, etc. And I was told that one of these publications, it was told to them, this is the type of thing that can drive someone to take their own life. And they said, don't go there. This is not a game. This whole last month has been such a journey of self by fire, right? Like I was forced to have this journey of self by fire simply because I wanted to be embraced in spaces that I embrace. Like there's no scandal. Mm-hmm. I was supposed to go to Howard to do an event and I was told that Howard rescinded my invitation because of these stories. These stories that have no validity to them and that I have not, been a catalyst to, but they are now, they're proving to be deleterious to like my advancement. Oh, Amanda Seales, she was attacking Samaria Rice. What? I asked a valid question that ended up being proven, by the way. I asked a valid question. Don't we think that there's something worth questioning and why this woman whose son was 100% unjustly killed by the police? Don't we think there's something to be said for like, why are all these media outlets like giving her a platform to accuse all of these people that are the leaders of movements? Mm-hmm. for fraud. And, you know, my problem is also that I think that people understand what I'm saying when I say something. And like when I wrote my first book, my uncle, who's a judge in Grenada, he was like, make sure you edit that book like a deposition because it's on paper and people cannot read your mind. So say it how you want it to be understood.
Yep.
Which is difficult in 140 characters.
It is.
But what I was saying with that statement was, why are all of these black media outlets giving a platform without any level of journalism behind it? That is dangerous.
Right.
And they're putting these people, mind you, I don't even f- Sean King, but again, what am I about? Justice.
Right.
This is Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice. This is unjustified. He was asked by her brother to raise money. When he got the money and found out that she didn't know, she was given the money. These types of turning this space into a gossip space is dangerous, Shannon. We're trying to make movements and change.
But you do realize that's how social media works. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
have.
I know- no,
I
you're
don't
not
have
wrong.
to be
You're not
qualified.
wrong.
I could be a doctor. I could be a
But I'm not talking about I'm not talking about social media. This
Yeah.
is Black Voices
Oh, yeah.
and Brio and The Root, etc.
Right.
They were just running with this story because that's how journalism works now. It's just
Mm-hmm.
clicks. So in their minds, it seems like, well, if we put this story out, we're going to get the clicks. And then there are going to be follow-ups and we'll get clicks for that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then there's going to be follow-ups. So let's not tell the whole story now.
Right.
Let's string this along
Right.
like a f***ing soap opera.
Yeah.
It's people's lives. So I was justified in that. People mad at me because I said, you know, if you got Nikes and Jordans, if you got money for Nikes and Jordans, you got a passport, you're losing. Amanda Seals is a member of the petty bourgeoisie. She is making fun of the disenfranchised passport black folks. What are you f***ing talking about? Do you understand these people don't want us here? They don't want us here. We need to be able to get out of here.
Right.
When you go all over this world, white people are everywhere. Did you know that? They everywhere, having a great time. And we be thinking that we are only allowed to be here. This world is for us. We are the bottom line. We are the creators. So why would we not make sure that we have access to everything instead of limiting ourselves to consumerism? We can do both.
Yes.
We can do both. And one thing I've had to learn is just like, sometimes I just be talking.
Right.
Now, by the way, the reason I sent that text is because I was sitting in the Paris Charles de Gaulle airport and the nigga I was seeing, I had texted him and said, I got to Paris. I can't wait for you to get your passport and travel with me. And he had said, I don't need a passport. I travel in my mind.
That sounds like somebody said.
And that's what made me send that tweet. But again, no further context. But people do nitpick. And it sucks because you start to believe the lies that people tell you about yourself. And then you start to turn into the person that they are accusing you of being. They want you to be somebody who doesn't give a f***. They want you to be somebody who doesn't care if you hurt people. And I will say that most people don't get the opportunity to do a blanket apology. But since I have it, I'll take it. I apologize to anybody that I have unwillingly caused any level of discomfort. That's never my goal. Never my goal. And anyone who's taking that apology and knowing that it's not for you, because it wasn't for you.
Considering what's been the way you've been portrayed, and you said Issa said, well, your character, I believe that you were your character considering she wrote the character. Do you ever get afraid of being typecast?
No, because I think everybody gets afraid of being typecast. I mean, especially like if you light skin, like there's in black spaces, oftentimes it's like, okay, you're going to play like the bougie light skin girl,
Right.
you know? I think that there's something to be said for like, I get accused of being colorist based on stuff like that, you know, like, which I am 1000% not. By any means. I think in the past, there were things that were like misinterpreted that it's not even that they've typecast me like on camera. It's like I'm typecast in life.
Right.
Right. So like people like, I remember on a Breakfast Club interview, they asked me like, what are reasons people don't like you? This is always the conversation. What are reasons people don't like you? So I went down the list of reasons that people have told me that they don't like me. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons was I have been told several times, I don't like you because you're light skinned. And I said that, and that offended people because they thought that I was somehow, in saying that it was something
As a negative.
as
Maybe.
like it was something positive, you know? And ultimately, there is no way in the dissemination, the effective dissemination of white supremacy, that we would not have dark-skinned women who don't like you because you light-skinned and light-skinned women who don't like you because you dark-skinned. They have been very effective at that division.
Yeah.
So I was just stating a fact, but not stating I wasn't trying to legitimize it. It was just like, this is something that has been said to me.
Right.
You know, and it took me also a little bit to understand that colorism only works one way.
Right.
I don't know if bullying is the right word for what happens to light-skinned Black folks who feel like they don't belong.
Right.
Because that's the thing. Like, I get told, like, oh, you light-skinned, you're not really Black. But, like, I'm light-skinned because my great-great-great-grandmother was raped
Right.
by James Uhl in Virginia, or in Maryland, I should say, who then subsequently had children every month after that for 12 months with other slaves that he owned. And he put his name on their birth certificates. And this means that I'm also possibly related to Robert E. Lee. I am light-skinned because my great-grandmother on my mother's side was raped by her boss when she was a maid in Grenada. So I just feel like we oversimplify in a way that feeds this white supremacist ideology, instead of looking to each other to say, how do we starve it with love and loving each other? So, you know, I am not colorist. There are many times where I have had to consciously remove myself from spaces because these people don't know what the they're talking about. And they're like, well, you're Black, you know, like this designer in Russia wanted me to be the face of her Africa campaign. I said, ma'am, the only way I can do that is if I am partnered in equal level with a dark-skinned person from the continent.
Right.
And they were like, ugh, you're just doing too much now. We don't even see race.
Don't you just love that one? Okay, currently you're on Kevin Hart's LOL network.
No,
You done with that?
that ended like 2 years ago.
Kevin, people's taking shots at Kev. I know Kev a little bit. But I think he's great at what he does. I know he's an extremely hard worker. He puts a lot of time into his craft, and he's built a platform that tries to elevate people. Oh Lord.
I think that's his goal, but I don't know that his staff has the same fervor for that he does.
Okay.
And I don't know that he's I'm saying this literally, like, I don't know if he's necessarily empowered them to do that. I literally don't know. I know that he voiced his intentions to me, but they were unable to be carried out.
Right.
And I have no hard feelings. Kev looked out for me in a situation that was, you know, Live Nation tried to like cancel my whole tour. And I had to call people I know that, you know, got the juice.
Right.
And
Vouch for you.
And Kev answered the call.
That's unbelievable.
And it was a time where I didn't have other jobs. So if I didn't do them shows, there was no money.
Right.
Because my man made no money. And he wasn't trying to make no money. So I was the only one making the money.
Right.
And I remember sitting in my living rooms, like, staring off into space. And he came in because I was quiet. And if Amanda's quiet,
Yeah.
we in the problem. And my ex, he came in and was like, you good? And I was like, no. Because if I don't do these shows, we will not have money
Right.
for the bills. And so I really appreciate Kev because he didn't have to do that, and he did.
Right. Bring the funny. You spoke highly of that. Chrissy Teigen, Jeff Foxworthy, Kenan Thompson.
I do have a radio show now, though.
Tell us about it. What do you get to talk? What do you like about the radio show now? Because you're very opinionated. You have a lot to say, and when you're on the radio, you get to take your time and go. Tell us about your radio show. People that are listening, Amanda, for the first time, what can they expect?
To listen, laugh, and learn. They gonna laugh and they gonna learn all day long. I love my radio show. Radio One Reach Media, they've just been such great partners. It really showed me what it's like to work in a place that sees you. You that came correct from day one. I never have to convince them of anything. They respect my wisdom about things. They respect my awareness about things. So I don't have to, try to win over. And I always thought that my own show would be a TV show, but it's a radio show, and it ends up being so much better because I have so much freedom. And I get to speak to people. Right now we're syndicated in a number of cities, including DC. We're on Magic in DC. We're on 103 in Philly. We're in Houston on the Box.
Right.
We're in major markets. And I just didn't realize that people really be listening to TV. To radio. People really be listening to radio, Shannon.
They do.
And so it's just been really great to see how many people, so we do a word of the day where I teach a vocabulary word. And this bus driver, I went to Selma for the commemoration of Bloody Sunday. And this bus driver in Alabama, because we were on in Muscle Shoals, she was like, I just want you to know that I play your radio show in the bus for my kids.
Wow.
And she was like, our favorite segment is the vocab segment.
Right.
So I have my co-host Supreme, and I just make it my business. I take it very seriously that a lot of people are only getting this news from me. So I just make it my business to be very fact-based and then opinion.
Right.
Because I think we've gotten in a world where we can't really tell when it's facts and when it's opinion.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
Very. Making progress with your money starts today. With the right checking account, this year can feel easier. Chime online checking account has tons of benefits that millions of members love, like fee-free overdraft up to $200 for eligible members. It's a debit card so good your overdraft paying friends will want to switch to. Plus, get paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit while managing your money on the go 24/7. Overdraft up to $200 without fees with SpotMe when you set up a qualifying direct deposit. Just set up a qualifying direct deposit. Sign up for SpotMe, and Chime will spot you up to your limit when you make a debit card purchase or cash withdrawal that exceeds your balance. Sign up for Chime today. Joining just takes minutes. Get started today at chime.com/Shay. That's chime.com/Shay. Banking services and debit card provided by Bancorp Bank, N.A. or Stride Bank, N.A. Member FDIC. SpotMe. Eligible requirements, overdraft limits apply. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply. You talked about your time on The Real, and you talked about the bad. Did you have any good times on the Real? Was there anything that you liked about your time there?
I like my team in my dressing room. Listen, your glam squad in those situations be your family because you there so early in the morning every day.
Right.
Let me just be clear though. Like, people like to say that I have issues with my co-hosts on The Real, and I have never voiced that,
Right.
and none of them have ever voiced that.
Right.
And my issue with The Real was about the executive leadership of The Real and the fact that we couldn't talk about. Like, they would say things like, I remember Tamara wanted to talk about wine, and they were like, well, black people don't drink wine, so we're not going to talk about wine.
Wow.
I'm just like, how's that a thing? But I don't want to say that I didn't have a good time at The Real. It's just that I walked into it and I got blindsided. That's really what happened, Shannon. I got blindsided. I thought that this was going to be a space where I could like really be myself, because when I would guest host, they were so embracing.
Right.
And it just ended up not being that. But you know what really happened at The Real? I reminded those women of their voices. That's what they always tell me. Because they had gotten so used to the bull that they had just laid down their swords. And so I get there and they would be happening and I'd be like, oh, hell no.
Right.
And they'd be like, well, we didn't even know we could say no.
I'm reading, and I read this, and I'm like, when I was doing about the black publications, that spoke out against you. I mean, because you speak so pro-black, and just because you're pro-black doesn't mean you're anti-this. That means I want my people to do really well, and I want my people to understand and be informed and understand the power that they have. Mm-hmm. It had to have hurt to have these black publications.
I had a nervous breakdown. Mm-hmm.
Talk to me.
It's just the willingness of folks to sell their souls for so little. And I feel like that's what you have to do to like put your gift of being a writer to work in such a nefarious way. I ain't met none of these people. I ain't done none of these people. I like to think that they were paid by APAC, because if you didn't get a check for this and you just did this just to do it, I'm just like, damn, that's unfortunate for you. But that's a place that I've arrived at.
Right.
Initially, it's crazy to be excoriated in the public in general by, like, you know, just people.
Yeah.
But like,
Publications where they're supposed to have people that are journalists that have integrity.
these ain't blogs.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like, the last time this happened was with this Myron Roll situation years ago, where I was put in a very up situation. I had to make a judgment call.
Okay.
And people have based my entire character off of this judgment call. People who have never been in this situation. But I did the best that I could with that situation. And I have been affirmed in that choice. But I think that what people fail to understand is that you be in scenarios where you got to make a judgment call.
Instantaneous. You don't have.
You just doing the best that you got with something that doesn't have a blueprint.
Right.
And so now there's this whole narrative of Amanda Seales hates black men. That it has literally no water. If I hate black men, I want a refund. I want a refund, Shannon. You know how many brothers I have lifted up? I want a refund. I done paid probation fees because the niggas can rap and I want them to be able to live in their talent and their truth. I done talked to a damn PO to vouch, Boldy James, and you owe me money. But like, there's just something very wrong about these places feeling compelled to just speak about somebody with no facts. At least quote somebody I've worked with if you're going to say I'm difficult to work with. I mean, it's burning bridges in Hollywood. Baby, there ain't no bridges in Hollywood. This Hollywood is a shark-infested pool. The only bridge I built was to get me out of it so I would stop getting bit. So please, stop telling me about burning bridges and then they're in there talking about, oh, she's hubris. Do y'all even know what hubris means? Hubris is a mythological character from Greek mythology who was told by the gods, don't look in that pool. Don't look in that pool. And Hubris said, man, I'm gonna look in the pool. He defied the gods. He looked in the pool and he saw his face. And he was so enamored by his face that he drowned in the pool. So hubris is not someone who is necessarily enamored by themselves. Hubris is the story of a person who defied God. Now you tell me in this whole interview, where have I showed you that I'm somebody who is defying God? I live by God.
Right.
I am spoken to by God. I speak the words. So don't tell me about these words. So journalists using these words so gratuitously is dangerous. It's so dangerous. And I am obsessed with words. I'm obsessed with words, Shannon. I love them so much. And I know that there's people who have lived by the word. If you are somebody of a religion, you live by the word.
Right.
Whether it's the word of Allah or the word of the Bible. You know, if you're somebody who's a lawyer, you understand that this Constitution and the words that are not in it are what continue to keep us oppressed. Words matter. So to have all these people using these words that I love so much against me damn near killed me. Thank goodness I'm on Lexapro. Because had I not been on this antidepressant, I feel like I would have gone down a much darker hole. But I have a great psychiatrist and I have even better friends. So when you talk about people protecting you, baby, I am protected. I am so loved. And that's why it's so wild to see people saying I'm not likable. You are right. I am not likable. I am lovable. I'm so loved. And it's like I'm in a place right now where for the first time in my life, I feel like the love for myself and the love people have for me are at the same level. And I've never experienced that before. And it took a long time for me to learn that I even had the right to love myself. You know, people say these things like, oh, don't be full of yourself. You better be full of yourself. Mm-hmm. You better be full of yourself, because then what are you full of? You don't want to be hollow. And you also don't want to be full of everybody else's validation of you, because who are they? And baby, they will run away. When shit go low and they gone, you're empty. Mm-hmm. You better be full of yourself. And I have had to learn, as somebody who had a nervous breakdown and was brought to the bottom, and realize that all of my confidence was built on other people's thoughts of me.
Other people's validation.
everything. And I had to build myself back up. And luckily I had a therapist who taught me to do that. And I had to build myself back up. And so I tell everybody now, like, no, please be full of yourself and love yourself. And, particularly women, we're not told that we're allowed to name ourselves.
Right.
I am a genius. I'm a gifted performer. I am a gifted person. I am a creative genius. I'm generous. I am giving. I am kind. I'm funny. I'm delightful. Like, these are not things that I need to wait for somebody to say about me. I know these things about myself. Aren't we supposed to be God's children?
Yeah.
And that's not based in religion. That's just based in understanding. That's how I live. I as a spiritual person, I believe I am a child that was made of something other. I don't know what we were made of, but I know that I feel like I was made of something supernatural. And I have a responsibility in that to live at my best. And people don't want to let you grow. People don't want to let you evolve. People don't want to let you find better ways to exist. People are talking to me about from 2005, some interaction they had with me for 30 seconds in 2005. Now you tell me, are you judging people based on a 30-second interaction?
No.
Because why? You might say we had a bad 30-second interaction.
Right.
That's it.
I'm probably gonna never see that person again, so I don't have a
The same
a
week,
reaction one way
the
or
same
another.
week that people are telling in these articles, Amanda Seales is so terrible. She has boundaries, etc. The same week they talk about Anthony Mackie. Why don't let that man have his boundaries? I'm like, I can't call it. I can't call it, and I've decided to stop trying to call it. I put the phone down.
the Queen came to your defense, though.
Yes, she did, because I'm loved by the people I love, and that is the biggest honor. Queen Latifah, Dana Owens, okay?
Can you help me understand this?
I wasn't ready for that.
Sometimes, and it's happened before, people in our community forget that they're black.
Whoa.
And they try to appease a group of people that's probably never going to embrace them. And once they realize that, guess who's the first group to take them back?
I don't know her.
You know, I ain't say nobody's name, Amanda. You don't even know who I'm talking about.
I don't know.
How you know who I'm talking about? But we've seen this happen before. Rest his soul, O.J. Simpson. He had the famous quote, "I'm O.J., I ain't black." Even Michael Jackson went through what he went through, rest his soul.
Right.
Even Kanye had to be reminded. And now Miss Owens, I don't want no black pilots, I don't want this, I don't want that. And now we can't keep off our black media stations. When before she gave us her butt to kiss. Now, if I'm lying, if I'm speaking out of turn, people, y'all correct me. But y'all know I'm telling the truth. Now, you're talking about somebody that's always uplifted this community. And I was one of the first guys that had a viral moment with Cat Williams, and they couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to attack me. But Candace has given y'all her butt to kiss for 2 decades. And the moment, what they doing? They can't fire me. They can't fire me. The hell you say? Now look at her.
It's not her fault.
Whose fault is it? Oh, no. Let's not take that blame.
That let her back in.
Huh?
The spaces that let her back in.
Oh, okay. But that's how we are. We're very forgiving people.
Who taught us to be that?
We do.
Who taught us that version of forgiveness? Do I need to do the lesson?
No, because I know.
Them slave owners taught us that version of forgiveness. They gave us a Bible called the Slave Bible. And this Bible had parts of it taken out. It had the parts of uprisings taken out. It taught about forgiveness because they needed to make it okay in their minds.
No matter how bad I treat you, at some point in time, I need you to forgive me for the wrongs I've done against you.
Because they had convinced themselves that it was still okay to keep people enslaved whose souls were saved.
Yeah.
Even though they knew that was counterproductive to the teachings that they had learned. So, we are oftentimes forgiving to our own detriment.
We are.
And listen, here's the thing. You know what the thing about forgiveness is that you should absolutely forgive people who ask for it.
Right.
who ask for it.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay to forgive.
Redemption,
I don't
baby.
forget. I just move on.
But redemption requires action. There are restorative justice practices that have to be implemented in order for atonement to truly take place. And when that's not the course of action, it looks like something else, right?
Yeah.
It looks yucky. It
But-
looks like capitalism. It looks like clickbait. It looks like naivete. It looks dumb. And it looks insulting to anybody who has a mind. And ultimately, again, I will bring it back to what makes a black space at this point. Because when I create black spaces, Shannon Sharp, like Smart, Funny, and Black,
Right.
like my podcast, Small Doses, my radio show, The Amanda Seales Show, we literally do Black-curate news. When I create black spaces, the word black in that context is always about community. You said it earlier.
Right.
So my problem, like you've already pointed out, is that I'm thinking, well, when they make a black space, it's also the same thing. But baby, I got kicked out of a black space. You know what I'm saying? I literally got kicked out of a black space by a black woman who sicked black people on me, black men on me to remove me. So at this point, I understand that we can't just look at black people and say, is this skin folk or kinfolk? We got to look at black spaces. Is this skin folk or kinfolk? And all of these black media spaces that took her back in, all of these black media spaces that have just excoriated me for weeks, I look at them and say, you are simply black by name because you are white by commerce.
Wow. When I saw people taking shots at Angel Reese for crying, because for the longest time, you know.
She is a young person. Do you know how disgusting that is? And that cornball nigga who loves to make himself look like he's the white people's savior.
Who said that?
Emmanuel Akko.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Corny C-band.
Oh, Lord have mercy, man.
Come talk to me, white people. I'm the black guy that's nice. Cut it out. It's ridiculous.
Man, I know these people, man. I'm going to have.
Well, you're not saying it. I am. You're not saying it. And you don't, and I will let you off the hook. You don't need to respond. Don't feel like you need to defend them.
No.
But baby, you can't.
I'll let you have your space. This is your safe space to say your piece.
Can I have a hug?
No, you wouldn't give me no hug earlier. I try to get a
I
down.
have to get to a hug. And now I'm there. Can I have a hug?
Yes, you can have a hug. Thank you. Yeah. Dang, that was quick. I feel good.
Good.
I feel good.
Good.
You hosted the BET Awards in 2020
In my house.
and ain't been back.
Shannon, let me tell you, can't nobody say you don't put it together. That's why you were so successful on the field.
Why? Ain't nobody told you why you ain't been? You can't host no more. You can't.
Well, the internet told me that I haven't been back because I'm not likable. Baby, I hosted the awards in my house.
Yes.
I'm not saying that lightly. COVID was happening, and the stylist, their assistant tested positive, ended up being a false positive, but it tested positive, and 2 days before, I had to host the BET Awards in my house.
Wow.
I find this out. Now, at the time, somebody I had been seeing on and off, we were going to try to see if we get along again.
So you gonna let him come? He was gonna stay for an extended period of time because COVID.
So he was coming to the house.
Okay.
And we're literally sitting next to each other when I get this call from Jesse Collins. Shout out to Jesse Collins and Dion Harmon. These are two people that are two of the most beautiful human beings on the earth. And Jesse Collins helped break the code for me about me. Jesse Collins, without calling me autistic, knew I was before I knew I was. And he literally told the staff, this is how Amanda works. She needs information. That's what she needs.
Lots of it.
She just needs the information. And once she has the information, she's fine.
Right.
So let's just give her that. It doesn't take anything away from us. But some people feel like giving information is like some power struggle type shit.
Right.
But he tells me this, Shannon. So this man, Bodie James, is at my house. And he's like, I don't do physical labor. I'm like, Lord, child. So I get him a check. I get him a check to do the show, to put this thing together. One thing I'll never take from that man is he did hook up them wires. Okay?
Yeah.
But now I can't have a stylist, a hairstylist, or a makeup artist here. So I end up having to do my own makeup with my makeup artist on my phone, my hair with my hairstylist on, like they're all on FaceTime telling me what to do. I did 13 costume changes in my house while this man sat in my backyard on FaceTime telling people, yeah, I saved the BET Awards. And I got him a credit because that's the type of nigga I am. I got him a credit and I got him his check. Now let me stop. But you see how I'm protecting people that don't protect me?
Yeah.
You see how I was about to do that? Because he's the type of person that would take things to another level. He tried to extort me once.
You've been having a rough go with men.
I know, because I didn't have a father that really taught me what to do. And because I present to people in a way that they deem masculine, but it's really just passion. And if they really were smart, they would understand that the passion that I speak with is the passion that I fuck with. So I don't understand why they can't do that math.
Yeah, sports. I was reading that. I read that you know about what a nickel defense is in football.
I don't even remember anymore. Don't put me on the spot. But I really
You love sports, huh? Or you love football?
No.
Or you love the
No. I appreciate sports.
Okay.
The sports that it wouldn't be fair to say I love football because it's not even close to my love for gymnastics.
Okay.
You know, I respect football. I respect basketball. I mean, I got a J. You know, I used to have handles in my younger days. Now I have back problems. But
well, that what you were saying about earlier, that's the kind of same thing that you was able to do with back problems. You ain't gonna be able to do that no more, man. So I think you have to sit there one out.
I think it's all about creativity.
Sorry, I brought that up.
You talking to a comic. Like, whatever you say, I got something in the chamber. You know? That's the other part. I'm a really good motherfucking comic. Did you know that?
I did know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okay, well,
I mean, I have my special, I be knowing, but this year is when I really realized, like, nigga, you nice with this. I've been going on stage and I don't even prepare no more. I just go to see.
Right.
Baby, I'm killing.
You like that, huh?
I'm really.
Well, how about this here?
Now, not to say I haven't had my L's.
Yeah.
There was a particular room in Los Angeles that I did take an L, but I have a different style of comedy than that room was expecting.
Right. Dating in 2024.
I am single.
You ain't.
Who's hollering at me, Shannon? Who is hollering at me? Who?
Let me ask you this. How about this here?
At this point,
What type of man are you? What type of man would interest Amanda? Does he have to be scholarly, funny? I mean, women like funny, so but that needs to be one. Women like funny.
he has to have character.
Character.
And when I say character, I mean he has to have a very strong value system.
Okay.
He has to care about humanity.
Okay.
He has to like animals.
Okay.
He has to like music.
Okay.
He has to be curious. He doesn't have to be scholarly, but he has to be curious.
Okay.
And the thing about curiosity is it's not just about like education, but you have to be able to be curious about somebody else's feelings. You know, like that's the thing I feel like I run into with a lot of men. Like they not curious about, like, if I say I'm sad or if I'm saying I'm annoyed, like they go into defense. When really the next question should be,
Why?
Why? Why? And then there's a conversation. And I learned in my last relationship, I really, really worked on my toxic traits, you know, because we're all working to undo the things that shaped us that we had no control over.
Toxic, huh?
I was. Yeah, we all are. Anymore. You definitely have toxic traits.
Whoa, Amanda, this is not about me. Not about me, okay? Thank you.
This man said, I need to every morning. I'm
Who
like,
said that? Whoa.
You didn't say that to Ocho Cinco? You didn't say that to Ocho Cinco? You didn't say that to Ocho Cinco? I said, I don't know if I
Is
want
that
to go on this show.
toxicity? To get a mean one in?
Because the way you framed it, I'ma just say, Shannon. I'ma just say, Shay. The way you had said it was like, whether she likes it or not, this is my expectation. And sometimes the pussy ain't prime until prime time. And it's just like, damn, is that what the expectation is? Every morning?
I mean, sometimes my pockets ain't prime, but she expect that
I
Birkin.
don't know nothing about
She
that
expect
life. I can't speak to that.
Yeah, see,
that sounds like an escort
Yeah,
service.
I'm just saying.
That sounds like prostitution.
So I'm just saying, sometimes I ain't prime.
That sounds like a different situation.
So how about this? So you mean to tell me ain't no man? I know they sliding in your DM.
They're not.
Ain't no man in your DM.
No.
Have a been.
There was one person in my DMs, but they're not really like into me. They're just like talking about professional stuff. But
Whatever. Ain't nobody sliding in your DM.
I don't know if he has a girl. I'll ask you off.
They slide in your DM.
I'll ask you off camera.
Lord.
No, they don't slide in my DMs because they're like, she's too intense.
Right.
And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of men holler at me because they want to tame me. Like they like it's like a game for them.
Yeah.
And they like I had a dude I was talking to who was like, yeah, I like you because you're a challenge. I don't want to do none of that. I don't want discourse. I want intercourse. Like, please. I want to be home on the couch.
Hugged up, booed up.
That's really what I don't want to fight. People be like, Amanda Seales in her tone. I'm talking to a phone, baby. I'm talking to a phone. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to a phone. And if I say these idiots and you take offense to that, well, that's your fault.
Okay, tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm out of place. Okay, you don't want kids, but you had your eggs frozen, correct?
Yeah, because everyone's
You
told
might,
me that.
maybe
No,
down the
no,
road. You meet
no,
the right. You meet the right guy. Meet the right guy.
No, I don't. I don't want kids.
Right. Hold on. You got to be willing to compromise.
Not with my uterus.
Okay, you can have a what they call surrogate.
I don't want to have kids, babe.
Man, say, babe, babe, who gonna take? He gonna say, babe, who gonna take care of us when we get old?
Well, that's a really scary. Have you seen people in these nursing homes? My mama worked in a nursing home.
That's what I'm saying. That's what the kids are for.
The kids is visiting them in the nursing home.
Nah, I'm staying. My kids better put me up in the crib.
Exactly.
I bought them
But
cribs.
so
I better
often
stay
that's
there.
not the case.
And I want a big bedroom.
You know what?
too.
You're better off having. You're better off. Listen. If you're having kids so they can take care of you, I think that's unfair.
No, I don't think you. I don't think you. I don't think.
But
Yeah.
that's the thought process for a lot of people,
No.
right? Like, and I think it's unfair because it gives them a job. I have beautiful friends. And I don't consider age to be the only reason for I have friends that are in their 30s, right? That are in their 20s. Like, it's really about where your heart is at.
Right.
And I will be fine. I will be fine. I will be taken care of and I will be supported because I support people and you get what you give. Unless it's black media.
You would
But I froze the eggs because people force you. People really be on your head like, just in case, JIC, just in case.
just in case, yeah.
JIC. But let me tell you, that egg freezing process is a mother.
Mm-hmm.
You getting that shit rammed up in you every day, and they looking around. There was 16 yesterday, now there's only 10, and you're like, God damn, eggs, God damn. Listen to my Small Doses episode, Side Effects of IVF.
Yeah, baby. I mean, hens are gonna only lay so many eggs. I mean, how many you think you gonna get?
Don't ever call me a hen again.
You think you get 30 eggs per day for 2 months?
Sir, I don't know. To be honest, I know the things I know and I know the things I don't know. And I really don't.
You didn't know at the time that it was.
I just know.
Did somebody tell you it was going to be painful? I mean, what?
It's not painful. It's just
different.
Yeah, like it's just so invasive.
Yeah.
It's so invasive.
Okay.
It's so invasive. Like today, my podcast episode about the sexual assault I experienced comes out today.
Okay.
On Small Doses. And it's like, it's a similar type of like, it's invasive.
Right.
You feel invaded.
Right.
And you're like, this is very medical, but it still feels yucky.
Right. Is there anything you like to promote? Your podcast, your book, you got a movie, you're writing a movie?
I'm on tour. The Unlikable Tour. Yes, come out, see me. I'll be telling jokes. I feel like my shows at this point are like TED Talks that you laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hitting the road. I'm very excited to be back on stage. I was blacklisted all last year. We'll do that in part 2. And, it's great to get out in the world after you be on this internet and they beating you up and you go in the world and folks is like, Amanda, we appreciate you. We love you. And just making people laugh is such a superpower. So come on out to the Unlikable Tour. Go to amandaseales.com to get your tickets. You can also listen to my radio show, The Amanda Seales Show, every day. You can go to wherever you get your podcasts and check that out if you're not in the city that we're on. And Small Doses is my podcast that we've been doing for 6 years. Will you do an episode of Small Doses?
Yeah, you have to get my people. Yeah, I'm sure I could do that for you.
Your people?
Yeah.
Do you have to get approval?
No, I don't have to get approval, but I have a busy schedule. I'm shooting like 8-10 times a week, so.
He said, I'm a busy man. I'm a busy man.
I am.
I will commit by heart, but not by date.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a yes. We got time, because I'm not going to die till I'm 80. But I'm in the process of writing my next book on Simon & Schuster. So very excited about that. But my previous book, Small Doses, is also available wherever you get your books and audiobooks. And otherwise, you know, I appreciate this platform. The space you've created here is very unique and necessary.
Thank you.
You know, you had asked me earlier, like, what has come out of these last 4 weeks? And let me tell you something, Shannon, I am a pure soul. I've always been a pure soul. I always move from pure intentions. And I've reached a point where I'm just no longer going to argue what people think
Right.
with what I know.
Amanda Seals, ladies and gentlemen.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life.